Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners, April 3rd, 2019. First thing on the agenda, acceptance of the February 6th, 2019, and the March 6th, 2019 public hearing minutes, and the March 6th, 2019 minutes. Everyone's been apprised of what they are? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
I know I read through them the other day.
As printed.
Make a motion that be accepted as printed.
I'll second.
Has been seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous for the minutes. 39 Brentwood Drive, Christina Kroll, request to tie into town sewer.
It's me. It's Ken Kroll.
Ken. Oh,
Who's Christina?
yeah, how'd that come out?
That's my wife. She might have called first
okay.
there, but I filled out the application.
Okay.
So, Ken, what's up there on that part of Brentwood? All septics? No, well, wait a minute, yeah, that's one of your phases, Brentwood, right?
That was installed in 1997, the sewer line there.
Yep.
Yeah. So in other words, you never tied in when the sewer lines were?
No, it was optional if you wanted to.
That's the left-sided circle on the up, there's the
Up
right,
here.
No, on the other side. When you first left on Jimpton,
Yeah.
goes into that,
Yeah.
where he is, over in that little area there.
Okay.
But we do have our sewer pump station right there, and the sewer runs right by his property there. I guess Mike was over there with him, checking it out, and he seemed to think everything was proper there. I didn't have a chance to talk to him about it, but I don't see any reason why there was a problem or any indication of a problem.
Would it be gravity or would it be a pump system?
It would be gravity.
It'd be gravity? Yeah.
It's,
Was the lateral left out for the, lateral must have been left out for the
Yeah.
house, I imagine, huh?
it was, because they asked me where to put the lateral. As a matter of fact, when they came there, they were going toward the wrong side of the house there, and I said, no, it's over this way, because I
Yeah.
remember when they told me to put the lateral.
Make sure you're there.
Okay. So the lateral was 5 feet deep there, and it's like a 9-foot drop there for as far as the grade there. The contractor's gonna use 6-inch pipe, and it's approximately 112 feet of pipe with 2 cleanouts.
6-inch?
Yes.
Yeah, usually runs 6 inch up the house.
He said the lateral is
The
6
green
inches
line,
there.
Okay.
He's gonna come out with 4,
Yeah.
it comes out to the house, and then go to
Comes
6
out with-
immediately.
Comes out 4.
So I'll make a motion that we approve this tie-in at 39 Brentwood Drive for the Kroll family.
I just question it,
I'll second
would
it
the
for
fee
discussion.
be there, the fee still in place?
Yes.
Yes.
There'd be a tie-in fee,
Yes.
so you're aware of
You're
the
aware of the
tie-in
36
fee?
He also
yeah,
paid a
3
betterment.
bedrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of all the fees.
You're aware of what your responsibility then?
Absolutely.
Okay, you want to make
Back
the-
when we put it in a phase, we granted a 1-year release of the tie-in fees.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, that's
That's long since expired.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's expired, so the fees are in place. So we have a motion?
And second.
It's been seconded?
Yep.
Any other discussion? Unanimous then. So, Ken, you and your wife, you can
Thank you very much.
deal with the office here, talk to George and Mike at the sewer department, and they'll help you out.
All right.
Look at that.
He's already ahead of us.
Hey, so that, so then,
Thank you very much.
that's a water customer up there, so
Yes.
you just have to
We already have a meeting.
adjust your books for
Yes.
water and sewer
Yep.
billing now.
Yes.
Another happy customer.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Item number 4, 141 Center Road, Keith Rosinski, fire protection connection. Keith, you just want, give us the lowdown.
Rich Toomey owns a property, 141 Center.
Mhm.
He bought the property back in December. At the time of purchase, he was unaware he rents to Nichols College students. 7 right now, all rooms are probably gonna do 9 to 15 rooms. And it was brought to his attention by the fire department that he needs to put a sprinkler system in the dwelling. So that's why I'm here, for a 2-inch tap and sleeve on a 12-inch main. Bring it into the property. It's Cappy Bateman's old house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Range
Yeah.
building.
Yep.
just stay on the side.
Well, the policy, we've never refused a fire protection
No,
Yeah.
connection.
No.
So once again, a fee would apply.
Right.
You'd have to deal with George in the office on that.
I mean, it's
To make a motion
3,000.
that we approve the fire protection connection for 141 Center Road.
Second.
Okay, it's been second. Any other
Is
discussion?
the pipe in the middle, or is it the line in the road, or is it on?
Mine's
It's
on
on
the opposite
the,
side
it's
of
on
the
the
road.
opposite side, it's 30, about 30 feet of road, and then you got the sidewalk there.
So you gotta cross that road.
yeah, they'll put, Keith's gonna put
I-
flowable fill in there
I-
anyway,
put
so
flowable
everything.
fill.
Okay, 'cause I was just questioning, I mean, they just did the road 2 or 3
Right.
years ago.
Yeah.
like-
It's, we talked to Vinnie, and I've been using it for 15 years. I won't do a job without using it. Vinnie said it's not required, but it's recommended,
Yeah.
and
So the flowable fill.
flowable
Yeah, too much
fill.
traffic through that road.
Yeah, just, just go back one time on a call back, it's not worth it, so.
Well, we're not responsible for the road, I suppose.
No,
But that's a good thing that you're doing.
But I
a
am,
flowable fill,
I
so
am, yeah.
it'll set up that way.
Yeah.
Well, any other discussion? Well, vote on 141 Center Road, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. You'll just have to deal with the office, then Keith, George.
Yeah, I believe his sprinkler guy is, he wants to do the pipe work in June. I told him, let's wait till after
Wait,
graduation with the
yeah,
activities. So go-ahead's probably gonna be second week of May or something like that. But I'll,
Just be in touch with George so we know what's going on up there, you know?
yeah, no problem.
Okay, moving on. Lots 19 and 20, Ridge Drive, Andre Esselin, building on a lot. You have in your packet, you have some paperwork.
Yep.
George, you wanna figure that one out, 19 and 20, because we figure you'll buy that pump station down there, right, on the road?
Yeah, I was, I just lost my, I was in contact with DEP at the time, I really didn't have a good plan to go by. I just had an idea of how it comes close to pumping station number 5. Now, that pumping station is inactive, and it's not going to go online at all. The only thing is, it is protected with a well protection, where it goes from 100 feet, 200 feet, whatever. Your property goes very close to that. I think it might touch the 100-foot, but I'm not even sure.
No, 400.
Well, okay. They have no problem with it as long as it's not into the 100-foot radius. 200, they're a little bit sketchy, but on an inactive well, we just want to keep the protection there.
Yeah.
So when you do have engineering plans going on, and you have an engineer working on a project, or how you doing this?
Well, number one, I can't sell lot 19 without 20, because I need some land from 20 to give to 19 to be able to build.
Okay.
I already lost one customer.
So you're building one lot with 2?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. That
Oh,
gives
yeah.
more of a buffer. And at that point, I don't think there's, and if you even keep the house more towards
I'm
Ridge
keeping
Drive,
it towards Ridge Drive.
you
more.
shouldn't have a problem. The DEP shouldn't have a problem with that either. They pretty much told me the parameters.
Yeah, we looked at that a couple months ago.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a problem there. And actually, you shouldn't even have to check with them on that.
So-
They were pretty adamant that it was they don't want to get too crazy into that, but if it was something bigger, or it was getting close into the 100-foot, 200-foot, then there might be some kind
It's
of an
just
issue.
over 400 feet.
Yeah.
So you want, the question is, you need to have his covenant removed from
Right.
lot 20?
From lot 20, yeah. That's where the pipe goes through lot 20.
Are you familiar with that pipe in the
That's
woods there?
that's the pipe from Station 5 that was used in the mill, when it was used by the mill. And it goes up to a shack or a pit further, probably up by your property there. There's access to that pipe.
Oh, yeah?
We had gone up there once to see it, and it goes from the 5 station and jets across towards Ridge Drive. And it was actually used for the mill, for water for the mill, for pumping water
And
for
why
the
can't
mill.
you build on it if the easement's there?
The town,
Excuse me?
Why can't he build on it?
he can't sell it because it's not a clean title.
You can't sell it, if there's an easement. You can't sell it
Who's the easement with? The town?
The town.
with you people, yes.
With the water department?
That pipe, he's saying there's a covenant on that deed, on that title, for water, that, for that pipe going,
I'm-
a big section of it's been
Pass through
removed.
it.
A
Yeah.
section of it's already been removed, according
Yeah,
to.
there's no active well there. There's no way the water department ever utilized that, nor would the EP allow us to ever utilize it. That was told to me point blank.
But
But-
we'll have to find out, I'm not sure what the process would be to remove that covenant.
It probably involved the
I
town
don't
attorney
see-
or something
I
getting
don't
involved
see
with that.
any reason why.
Wouldn't that covenant be with
The mill?
the mill?
I don't think so, because I think our water station covers a parameter there, we're near his land, so it's actually water
It
town
was the
town
Mills-
property.
It was the
But
Mills
why
pump
can't-
station.
It was the mills, but it might have been deeded to the town, I don't know, you have to go back in
Why can't
records.
you build with an easement? I'm confused. Other properties have easements and people build on it.
Have you read have you read your deed on that property? And it
It's so
clearly states-
sketchy. We don't even know what a pipe really is.
But on the deed, on your property, it says there is a covenant covered by the town of Dudley?
I don't know if it says the town of Dudley, but there's
What?
definitely a covenant.
Can we get access to that?
Yeah,
Because, I mean, if we got access to it, we could
We'll have to refer,
refer it to the,
I think the best thing to do is to refer this to legal counsel to get
Yeah.
whatever needs to be done.
But an easement wouldn't prevent
To
you from
remove it,
selling it. You
because
just sell it with an
We're
easement,
never
right?
gonna be pumping from
I'm confused.
I
Section
don't know what
5
he's
to the
got
mill,
that-
so.
I'd have
don't
to
have
see
to
the
remove an
document
easement
and
to sell land.
we'd have to research it.
can you get that document to us, Andre?
Sure.
To the office, then we can act on it in that manner.
But, yeah,
We
that
can-
would have to go to legal counsel.
We could start with the
Yeah.
town manager to get an opinion from him. Then maybe, even if we had the page in the book, maybe we could research the registry of deeds ourselves, at least to read it.
No, I
to see
think
how
we,
it's-
we need the
Right.
documentation brought to us
Yeah.
from, his attorney, or
Yeah.
whatever, and then we'll send it to town council. But I don't understand why an easement would prevent anybody from selling any land, just says you have access right away.
Yeah,
case it
even if it's on
bursts.
the area, you're not building the house. I mean, obviously, it sounds like it's just on the land that's about, you're gonna make one house. It sounds like that, yeah. So that sounds like that easement is further off from when you're building. That shouldn't affect
Makes
your
sense.
building.
but I can't take land from 20 to make lot 19 big enough to build a house on, because it's got the covenant on it.
Part of that, lot 20 has easement on it from the town, which is preventing you from using that.
Yeah,
I gotta see the document.
We'll have to see the legal
That
document.
doesn't make sense.
We'll help you out with it, but we'll have to see that legal document.
Are you putting well and septic in there, or what are you doing for your services?
well, the water I can get from Ridge Drive, but the septic, I have to put it in, septic tank and leach field,
Oh, wait a minute.
because I would have to go to Schofield Ave.
When you say you can get water from Ridge Drive, is that a road now or a driveway? How far away from the water main is lot 19?
That's the thing, I
It's
don't,
200 feet.
We approve this, so,
I should have brought my plot.
Right here.
Yeah, well, we're looking at it. So what I'm questioning is, does that require a 6-inch water main with a hydrant? Why?
for 200 feet, Well,
He's ready to go for land, right?
This is something-
He wants to build on 19.
Right, up here.
That's the one we had
This
from
is-
before.
You wanna build on 19 or build on 20?
19
At
and
19.
520.
You wanna build on 19,
Yeah.
But it's
okay.
got a use part of 20.
Okay.
They use
Why don't
part
they
of-
just let them combine the lots and?
You can't.
geez, you're even closer to Schofield Ave than you are to Ridge Drive.
No, I'm lot 19, not
We
lot
can stop
20.
people from doing
No,
the
we can-
land.
Well, it's actually the halfway point.
You have an engineer drawing this all up?
No, this stuff was all done many years ago.
I mean, there's a nice aquifer in the area there. You might be better off drilling a well in there and a septic than trying for water, because it may cost you a lot more money.
Well, if I had to put a 6-inch, I would throw it well.
That's what I'm saying.
But if I can throw a 1-inch,
Because typically it's been your policy for someone to develop a house lot, they have to bring the water main past the end of their property.
Yeah. And who owns the easement further up to Ridge Drive where you'd be running this pipe? Is that an easement there that's going up the street there? I know this whole area is like an easement,
The
like a
paper
proposed
no.
road.
Well, I'm gonna be using that right away for my driveway. I already got the letter from the town.
So from number 19 all the way to Ridge Drive, where the water line would go, which would have to be off that road, it can't be, the water line can't run on the road, it would have to be off the road, the side. What I'm
Yeah.
worried about is who owns the properties next to that road? We can't run a water line into the road unless you put a 6-inch pipe.
It would run in the right of way. That, I got 600 feet of right of way there?
Yeah. Yeah,
But I'd be
you'd be
using-
looking at you'd probably be looking at extending the main and putting a hydrant or something in there. From what I'm seeing.
What about just a well?
That's your option too. That's probably your best
Okay.
option right now. And there's plenty of water in that area too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think your records and your bylaws should always show a water main extending past the property. So you don't just have these slivers of.
This is a
pipe running.
difficult one because if it would have been 2 houses, it would have been an easy one.
It depends
but-
on if Packard Drive is developed. If it's not developed, then that's just a water line to the piece of property.
Wasn't there a concern?
House behind, that's
But if
not,
that,
well, that section of Packard Drive is a driveway, not a road.
but who owns this side of land, this land right here?
Different people, yeah, different people own those pieces.
Yeah, but this piece that it's coming,
He does.
If
this right away?
If the
Yes,
board
he owns it.
waived the right for say a 1-inch line or 3/4 inch line or whatever, you'd have to put a meter pit at the top of the road. Because if there's anything, because you're gonna talk about a 3-part union going in between the pipe, because you're gonna get 200 feet of pipe.
There's
Then
no
you have to
road
connect
there.
another one to go into your house, but we can't have any leaks or anything be on our side and cause us loss of water. Because if your meter was in the regular house, that'd be one thing, but you're talking 200 feet, you'd have to put a meter pit in at the top of the road.
Yeah, but there's no road there. All there is
2
a
Ridge
right of way.
Drive.
Huh?
2 Ridge Drive, there would have to be an underground with a manhole cover, a pit,
Yeah.
with a meter in it
All
at
right.
the top of the thing. And that's if the board would waive the right for just a
So-
3/4 inch line to go down your driveway.
Okay.
Is Packard Drive being eliminated completely?
Is that?
Packard Drive is gonna be a driveway.
It's just gonna be a driveway?
Yeah, there's no road there.
Okay.
It won't be a road.
Well, that explains it.
That's a
already
long line, that's a long line.
Yeah.
I still am confused as to why you'd have to remove an easement. It doesn't make sense to me.
Who told you you had to remove it? Who?
You don't have to remove the pipe, but.
No, the
The
easement.
covenant.
Who told you about the easement? Where'd you get that information about the easement?
Boy, I've been getting information from everybody. Let's see. I think my attorney was the first one. Said that, the guy that wanted to buy the lot, his attorney told him not to buy the lot because I had the covenant on lot 20. He says, without removing that, he says, you can't sell the lot, number one.
But are you selling 20 or are you selling 19
Huh?
with a
No,
part of 20?
the two lots are going together. I,
Build one house.
Don't forget, this is a 40-year-old plan.
Right.
Yeah, but I can see if the easement went right through the middle of the proproperty.
Yeah, but it's off the property,
Yeah,
and
so
you're,
I'm confused.
it shouldn't affect the building of your house. Doesn't matter about the easement. If you got that, if the other property's deeded to another, whoever's building the house, the easements could just sit there.
We
He's
can
not gonna build anything on it.
We can
Yeah,
sit here
but-
and argue about
We're
it
not
all
legal-
day,
we're not
but the
legal
thing is, if a
people.
lawyer says it needs to be removed, then
Yeah.
we'll do what we can do to help remove the
Let's,
easement. That's
all right,
easy.
let's clarify this. We need something from your attorney with all the documentation saying that, that legally for you to use the land, it needs to be removed. And then we can go from there and show it to our town council. Because everything else here, we're just guessing. But,
Just seems unusual.
yeah, I don't think we're.
yeah, you know what happened is, lot 20, I need 5,000 square feet from lot 20 to give it to 19. And since there's a covenant on it, you can't do that.
Like we said, get us the legal paper, we'll help you out, we'll take it from there.
All right.
We just can't
Yeah, keep this
snap
in
our
the file. I
fingers
like
and
this.
say,
This is nice.
the covenant's removed.
Mhm.
We have to see it.
There's a pump
All
station.
right.
I mean, the covenant could be with Packard Mills for all we know.
For all we know, yeah, Packard Mills.
Yeah.
the
then you have to
easement's
deal with the
probably
air
right
from
here
there,
between the
wherever that
station
is.
and
I
this
don't
lot where the pipe runs.
Yeah, it's,
We'll help you out,
Yeah, that goes back so many years.
but like I said, we have to see that piece of paper so we can give it to the proper people.
I get the deed and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
I'll make
Yeah.
copies.
Get a copy to the office.
Okay.
All right.
If we have to send it
Thank
to
you.
our lawyer, does he have to pay the lawyer?
Oh, I'll leave you this.
let's get it first.
It's just,
Oh, this is your letter you wrote, right? Oh, it's a new one? Okay, I'll put it with it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Okay, Henry?
All
Okay.
right.
I'm not in
Good luck.
tomorrow, but I'll be in Friday.
All right, what's
Oh, all right,
Okay.
all right.
Skipping 11.
Let's hear.
Number 6.
11
Going
Sunnydale.
to May?
Mr.
Yes.
Furnace. Is there anyone here on this?
No.
On
It's
Sunnyside,
being
she wants to
moved
come
May.
to May now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're gonna jump around, we're gonna take number 8 first. George wants to give us the update on stations 1 and 3, then we'll take on John.
John, you might want to listen to this,
They
because
just
why I
because-
swapped them around a little
He's
bit.
moving it, giving his report so that you're familiar with it as well.
I've done some research on the third well source and main station as potential back to a working well again. And I called up a well driller, DEP people, and I asked them if, while we're doing the test welling at Station 3 for the new well pump there, if we could possibly find a way to drill a new well source at the main station, behind the main station. The old piping there from the old well are 20 feet deep, shallow wells. Now, back in many years ago, 10, 15, whatever, they began leaking at their seals. They began vacuuming in bacteria from the soil, from the surface water, which caused our coliform hits on our monthly testing, including E. coli at one time. At that time, the DEP requested we shut that system down. We kept it as a backup well for testing purposes, possibly to reactivate it. This has corrosion control apparatus still inside of it when it was a working well. When we did corrosion control in 1997, the station was putting out about 200 gallons per minute, just enough to help us with the 1 million gallons we were pumping in leaks, and like Jay can tell you, every day was 2 leaks here, third leak there. It was just ridiculous. So when it was deemed not to use it anymore, nothing was really done to explore avenues further beyond just fixing that shallow well. We talked about filtration. We talked about well, we ended up shutting off legs of the well where it was just we couldn't even get a vacuum. It was vacuuming with air, so we couldn't even get a good prime, get our tank inside filled up, whatever. So it's been using right now just for testing on raw water, where we activate it once a month, fill the tank, put out what we can, and I tell you, the stream is only from me to the hallway, okay? It's just enough to get our testing done. So I put it to the few people in a well driller, why can't we test for deeper gravel wells in that area? And the well driller says, that's a great idea. He says, I don't see why you can't. He says, I can do 3 test wells, deep bore them, say about 40 feet, see what the yield is. There's got to be some kind of aquifer near the pond area there that's because ponds usually carry certain aquifers in and around them and that. I don't know how this is going to handle with surface water requirements and things like that. I haven't got that far. So I took that advice, I did a little more research, and we looked at three test wells to be bored at the same time as that station is being done, with the same apparatus, with the same equipment already in place, just bring it over here. I have an article in for it, as you guys know, along with that, which I just presented to the guys there. He's suggesting 3 test wells in certain locations. I got to give him the old plan of the well field. If we can yield even 100 gallons per minute out of one of them, and each one, say, even does just 100, that's 300 gallons per minute, which is perfectly great for a third water source. We were averaging around 200 before.
It would be, you said 40 feet?
These could be down to close to 40 feet versus 20 feet or 60 feet. It depends on when he finds the aquifer.
How deep is a normal one?
Normal one runs about 55 feet, 60 feet, somewhere in there. It all depends on where they hit the aquifer. So
Drill till they hit water.
they drill till they hit the aquifer. Now, we're not talking about surface type, where
Right.
this is picking up mostly surface
Right.
type thing. This is where they're gonna hit an aquifer. So it's
Well,
something,
the other ones on Chase at,
these are all deep well here. All these are
like
deep well.
60 feet?
Yeah, well, 3 is now up to about 40 thanks to the
Right.
collapsed well. But yeah, about 55, 50 feet, somewhere in there.
So it may yield a lot more.
Yes, it may yield exactly what we need for a third water source to make, which would allow for us to pump mostly water right directly to the tank at Bates and then up to and give these stations a big break as far as always 24/7 pumping. Well,
Right.
If it works out, my plan is, and if you have in your packet, I sent schedule breakdown to Bob Boswick out in DEP. He's the big boy up there. As a matter of fact, I had to speak to 4 of them on a conference call regarding this situation. And what they recommended to me was, considering the fact that well is an emergency situation to be rectified, our third water source is an emergency situation that should be taken care of. I'm pulling the tank maintenance programs off for another year. I'm moving them back.
That's cleaning out the tank?
Cleaning of the tanks, moving them, I'm taking them off the articles so the articles will be for the wells.
You okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
DEP is.
DP says you go ahead and you do that. That's exactly what we want you to do, is concentrate on those 2 things. That's why I went before John. But here's the thing, okay? I just want everybody to understand something, including in the economic side. Even if we had a third well source out in West Dudley already picked out, ready to go, beginning our testing program, you're talking 4 or 5 years before a station can be implemented and online. With the permitting, the engineering, what have you, it's an absolute, and the cost is unbelievable, okay? The only thing is that this year, right now, this station is priority, get it back online with a new well source, test this well source at the main station. If it works out and the tests come back good and DEP is good with it, and everybody seems like think it's a viable source, next spring, we'll be putting in the article for the installation of the wells themselves, which would be six-inch wells, 6-inch piping from 3 wells stagnated around wherever he finds the sources of water, pumping into the main station. The main station would be, we'd upgrade our pumps, our diaphragm pumps for chlorine and potassium and all that, so that everything is back up to snuff. The tanks are already in place. The main apparatus is already in place. I just don't know yet what else required by DEP, because I'm so close to the pond for surface water regulations. It could be, they may want manganese done, testing, I just don't know.
We had a problem in that site, I've got them written down here. We had benzene hits there.
Yeah, all because of the
That's
shallow
from the groundwater.
All from the ground.
And the manganese, we were pulling manganese in that,
Yeah.
in from there.
Yeah.
And the filtration system for that manganese,
And
at that time, it was well over $1 million to put the
yeah,
filtration system.
and that's what had me.
With a
I don't know why why it wasn't done further research done to put deep gravel wells in, because this was done in other towns too. Now, Frank Sullivan Jr., who's the guy that is a major asset to us as far as knowing everything about wells, says it's done in other towns and it's had some good success, great success.
Yeah, you get a natural filter with the gravel. Can we do this what about at 4, 5, and all the other ones?
No, four is actually on the same piping as Station 6. It's the same pipe.
You
It's
just
a
went
backup to
further
6,
down?
yeah. Station 5 is absolutely no, because of the relationship to the street.
This is Packard?
Packard, correct, yeah. So I don't want to get everybody's hopes up on this, but it's worth a shot to do. They seem to be very pleased that at least we're trying to do something on that behalf. But if it doesn't pan out with a certain amount of gallons per day to come out of this well, then we're back to square one again.
How far do you have to be from the street?
Right now, we're only about 5 feet from the end of the street. We have to be, I thought,
What are you talking about?
like 100
Oh, that's
Time
not,
out,
that's not a
time out, you're
viable
not
site
listening,
anymore.
you're
It's
not
just
listening to
done.
my question, though. He's trying to sell lot 19 and 20.
There's
Can
a
you put a
hundred-
well there,
Yeah.
on 19 and 20? I mean,
There's what, say it again, I didn't get what you said.
can you fit a well on 19 and
Oh,
20,
no, you need
Mr.
what?
Aslan's land that just...
400-foot radius.
Yeah, he's past the 200, he would be able to put something further off in
I'm
there.
talking about him. Would we, if we bought that land, be able to put a well there?
No, we did testing in there and it wasn't viable
Okay.
way back. Plus it would cost, like I said, with the amount of delay, years, the testing, the.
Yeah, but we could
cost.
start the process now to...
That's also finding a water source way down there where we need it.
Yeah, the other problem with that,
We don't
Scott,
need
is,
any more water
the
down.
problem is that our main couldn't take the pressure of all 3 stations cranking on at the same
Yeah.
time. At least here, we're up in the midstream
Yep.
and we've already seen how good that performs when everything is in
Now,
sequence.
just a question,
Yep.
when you put the well in, so you went down 60 feet, and you put the pump down there, is there any way to keep the groundwater from going down?
Yes, it's all sealed. Everything is sealed.
So it's, the only water being pumped is the water that's down there?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a submersible pump, the same way it's gonna be at Station 3. That's the
Right,
new,
but I'm
that's the new
saying-
one.
The groundwater can't go down the pipe, right?
No, absolutely not. Think of a 2.5-inch piped well system, shallow, leaking at the seams, groundwater, everything saturating into the joints and things. You're vacuuming air out of the system, so you're drawing it in to to the pipes itself, all the stuff that's in the soil and sediment, what have you. So it's a system that's not viable anymore, and you wouldn't even replace it with a system the same way. So we're going to see what this does, and like I said, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. It's our best shot to see if we can get it back to a third water source.
When is the planned drilling?
Uh,
When is the drilling?
July, just after the May town meeting, I got the articles in, it'd be June.
Okay.
June, July, June, mostly June. I have them reserved us for June. I want Station 3 online quickly. As soon as that gets tested, well tested, he's gonna move his equipment up to the main station, and I'm gonna give him a plan. We're gonna, before that happens, we're gonna walk it and see where he wants to drill the 3 wells.
Do we want to put in an article to have the money sitting there? Because if it tests well,
I do.
no, but if it tests well, no, you were talking about upgrading and all this other stuff next spring.
I will put that in for the next following town.
Let me finish. Get it in for this May, have the money sitting there. If everything goes well with your drilling, and in August, they say, this is fantastic,
We can do
September,
that
you start doing it
We
instead
do
of
that in
waiting
the
6
fall
months
town
later.
meeting.
Yeah,
Or you could do it, you're missing, we do it now, get the money sitting there. If we need it, it's there. If we don't, then we rescind it next town meeting. But the money will be sitting there, you can do it in September and be 6 months ahead of the game, if you will.
The problem is we're being delayed by DEP for permitting and stuff, so the
All right.
extends out anyway, so I can just go through the process of getting
a
it.
giant sum of money. That would require some type of borrowing. If he hit water, a good source of water, now we're talking millions.
I don't even have the figures, Scott, exactly. I'm probably talking a couple 100,000 off the cuff, just for tying it, putting the system. I could be way off. I have to wait before I get the actual facts, and before he sees how far these pipes are gonna go, how many he needs, then I get, and that's all coming
Yeah,
down
all
the
right.
summertime into the fall. The Station 3 project is gonna take a lot of our time and money, just getting that back online by the fall. That's,
All right.
so, we have a projected schedule for next year. If everything goes good, and I could be off, next summer, third source should be online, third summer, fall, sometime.
Providing funding.
Providing funding and everything else permitting.
So the
approvals.
bottom line is, you're in good graces with the DEP for 3-in-1 to start.
Absolutely.
Start the process.
They've told me to move off your tank projects and go,
Moving the tank
and move in
project
this,
out.
put
That's
this
all
into
it took?
place. Huh?
That's all it took.
Well, like I said, I don't know why, I mean, this was kind of stagnated for a while, and I understood the reasoning for, everybody's looking at the surface water stuff and rejuvenating the station with the piping that is existing, but I said, wait a minute, what about we just look at drilling new well sources?
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong, maybe it won't pan out the way we
That sounds
want,
like a great idea.
but it's the only shot we've got, at least we've got an existing station there, why?
Yeah,
you know?
because you already have DEP approval on that station.
Yeah.
Versus trying to get
Yeah,
approval
this
for
is
the
an
new
upgrade,
station.
And it's already got the apparatus in it for
Taking
corrosion
active
control,
progress.
Yeah.
so that's the schedule right now. If you want to read, I have the schedule of, I sent this report to them, of the breakdown implementation schedule, breakdown of how we're going to do the plan. I hope it's what he's looking for. I'm going to call him again and see if he got it. Thanks to Lori, well, her help with the typing and grammatical correct, because I stink at writing. But he was waiting for this to begin the process, and I've got 3 people of DEP on it right now who've been briefed on it and are aware of it, and I have contacts, and people I've known for years too, that I can consult with to go through each step, because they want to be there every single step of every single project. And there'll be more information to follow in the next meeting or so, as far as Station 3's project, what's happening there. Okay?
Yeah, beautiful.
So that's why, sorry, John, that's why I put myself ahead of you, just so you have a little bit of an idea. Because I know everybody's out there looking at water source. We've been trying, we're trying a different avenue this time and see if we can take an existing station and put it back into service again. So right now, that's our best shot.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, John, you're going
Thanks.
before. Yeah.
So the 4 to 5 years is for an entirely brand-new one. You're saying that if, okay, I just want to make sure I understand, if the digging in the existing field, so to speak, works out well, that it's possible that could only be 12 to 18 months?
Yes.
All right.
And don't hold me to everything, because DEP comes up with permitting this, that, wait this, wait that, wait that.
Well-
But it'd be within a year or so, and that's better than 4 or 5 years or whatever, and that could even extend out longer, depending on any legal binds with land, with sources, with testing, with, it's a major problem when you start putting in a pumping station from the scratch, because you need 14 acres to start. You need approvals, permits, the land, make sure the land's good grace, the easement, like he was, Andy was talking about. Everything has to be clear cut, ready to go, and then the plan has to be presented to the DEP every single step of the way you go. When we did Station 6, it was a major deal. Even when we did the corrosion control part of it, a lot of it we didn't even know anything about. You know, I mean, you're talking caustic chemicals in these stations. This isn't something that, I almost got blind because of it. And you have to know exactly how you want to meter this, how you want to run this, and proportionate to what they're looking at, make sure you're compliant with the state regulations. It's a whole new ballgame now, so it takes a lot of time, really does.
And a lot of money.
A lot of money, a lot of money.
Site, you're talking millions.
Millions.
Everybody says we got so much money, but you understand, I got 300,000 going out for this project alone for Station 3. This could be a couple hundreds of thousands for the Station 1, and if a pump breaks, then I'm on $15,000 a whack just for fixing a pump,
On that subject, this year, we're really tapping into the retained, or hoping to get approval to tap into the retained earnings to pay for some big bills. We have the infiltration and inflow coming up. That's gonna floor us over the next several years. And Station 3,
Station 3 and
you know,
Station 1.
and
And
the
the
alarm
tanks.
system.
Alarm system and the
The alarm
tanks.
system.
Yep.
So we're probably, to tell you the truth, probably cutting our retained earnings in half
At least.
this year on both, on water and sewer. And a lot of it's mandated by the DEP.
And that could be leading to a bigger problem down the line, replacing some old AC pipe in this town, which could be very big costs.
Don't forget the tanks.
And the tanks are coming up too,
You know,
that's all mandated by the state.
When the state tells you to drain your storage tanks and go in and have a company clean it, that's like, are you kidding me?
And paint them.
And clean
That's
the
like
interior.
100,000 a tank.
Well, it'll be more than that, I think. But, I mean, we have actual videos of the insides of those tanks, but, they're mandating drain and clean your tanks, and it's like, yes, sir.
Yeah, but it's great that the state likes to put all these regulations on everybody, but they have to be coming up with funds for
I
it.
know.
I mean, towns can't afford
They
this. Let's charge everybody in town an extra 10 grand a year and we can do all this stuff. But everyone will be bankrupt. It'll be like California, it'll be moving out.
Well, like what Scott said a little earlier, first, we can always contact the Baker administration and get the whole process fast-tracked, all right? And so, what I think, if you have encouraging results from digging these new holes, I would say, let's sit down with Senator Fatman and Peter, and let's get it to the governor and let him personally escort it through the process so that it happens a lot quicker, because it is an emergency situation, that third part. And then as far as like a future well, but going back to Scott, I'm kind of jumping. I think it's a good idea to maybe ask for some money and put it in escrow at this town meeting. So, let's just say your drilling does go well. And, even if it's 100 or 200,000, to put it in escrow, that way, you can at least begin the work. And then what I would say too is incorporate Don Johnson with that process, and let's go for a MassWorks grant. Let's go. You didn't even know about the grant we got that we're applying for the low-income area.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We're involved in that.
We heard about it, yeah.
Yeah. There's monies out there, and a part of me says, and even in the 5-year economic development plan, I don't know if you read it, it's sometimes easier to go for $10, $15 million than 75 grand. That's just the way it is. And there's hundreds of millions of dollars available right here in Massachusetts for projects that are shovel-ready. And so, I don't want you to feel like you're a silo on your own here. There is money, and there are people willing to help you get that money. But usually what they need are shovel-ready plans. So you should almost operate on the assumption that everything is going to go well with these holes. And so if everything goes well, where's the plan and how much is it going to cost? And then we take that plan, even before that hole is drilled, and we start shopping it, and we start seeing what monies are available, and we have it in reserve. And then if the town, So maybe, you ask for 100,000 now, and then, in the fall, if you get better visibility,
Trouble is, when we say we're asking for money, what we're doing is dipping into our savings account. That's the money, that's where it's coming from. And we don't want to lower that retained earnings too low, because we need it for
Tomorrow.
the crash, if something
Tomorrow.
goes wrong.
But he's talking about grants and stuff
Yeah.
from the government, which.
require a match.
We're in the process of a grant right now.
Say who's ready right now, we get a windfall of money, and the state's gonna give it to the first one who says, I'm ready to go.
If something like that were to come up, we'd have to ask for a special meeting to be able
Special
to
town
be able to
meeting,
tap
yep.
into retained earnings. But at the point we're at now, I think we're getting close to the limits for being able to tap into retained earnings without bringing them too low.
So that's where having a conversation with the board of selectmen, I mean, what brought this first up, am I on the agenda officially now?
No.
I've worked, and our paths have crossed over the past 20 years. There's probably 120, 130 years of volunteer experience, at the table here. And what I don't want is friction between the boards. And, I think it's important first that you understand how the Economic Development Committee kind of works. We're very transparent. We don't have any conversations other than our once-a-month meeting. The meeting where the water came up, and I put it on the agenda, was because literally I was at a meeting, and I'm not going to use names, and someone said, we're out of water. You're going to have an issue with the mill buildings, because you had the senior housing, the senior subdivision was approved, and there was a certain number of tie-ins there, and then you had Jesse Road, and you're going to be out of water for us. And so
Sorry.
the conversation that we had said, well, I'm going to need water. We have 3 developers that are currently have interest in that building. There's another one on the one, right by Perryville, that other old building. I mean, and going back to October 2017, when I did come before your board and we were talking about the 5-year plan, and I was trying to understand, I got the go-ahead. I was like, you get it, you're good. And so I was kind of taken back. Sure.
Going back to 2017, for 10 or 15 years, we've kind of been holding off dispersing any permits out of fear that mill something would progress. And we held off, and it's been 0, 0. And every year that fella, I won't mention names, from New Hampshire, the owner, was supposed to come back here and reapply to show his interest that things were going to transpire. But in the last 2 years, there was no contact with anyone from the particular
Nobody's
mill.
come forward to us even
And then what
suggesting
happened
it.
is, as we mentioned, a couple other projects that came through that seemed like they wanted to get the ball rolling. We said, well, you want to get the ball rolling? These people have been asleep at the wheel for 10 or 15 years? You get the permits.
The other guys are shovel ready, and we're.
They were shovel ready.
They're shovel ready,
Yeah.
and we no longer give out permits and just replace them, because people have been doing that, and they're holding up production for other folks who are shovel ready, so.
Like I said, we held off. 10, 12
Yeah.
years, we can go back on our records. We didn't make a move, we didn't do anything because, 120 apartments. It's gonna be 140 apartments. It's like, well, what is it? And to tell you the fact, why should we, when you think of it this way, the 2 mill properties, how can they abandon and walk away from the properties and let the heat run out, let the oil run out, and have the buildings completely freeze up and deteriorate? And we had to go shut the water main off out in the street. So we're gonna worry about them when they don't worry about their own property? Think of it in that respect.
I don't even know if the person that owned it owns it anymore. My
Well,
understanding
I don't
is
know.
that-
Here's
All I know
There's
is,
rumors about, Lower Schofield, there's rumors about it. There's rumors about this building up here, but they're exactly that, they're rumors.
They're not
We
shovel
can't
ready.
tie
Jake,
it up.
talk for a minute.
go ahead, Judge. why don't you talk,
Assets.
yeah.
All right, here's the problem with this whole thing, okay? And I understand the rushing of things and let's get going. The problem is that dealing in this business, everything is slow, unfortunately, okay? Certain things you can speed up, certain things you can't. But this mill has been stagnant. We haven't got anybody who even come forward to us with any indication that, hey, something could be percolating in the next few months, next year, whatever, something big, something firm, whatever. In the meantime, we've got the subdivisions that were approved that are coming in. The school has been costing us enormous amounts of water because their enrollment is up. As a matter of fact, I had the figure for Tom, and I was supposed to get it from Justin, and he hadn't gotten back to me. But the pumpage that we're putting out now is getting up to the 700 range, okay? And I have to be prepared for summertime, school time, when it goes up to close, it could go up to 800, okay? That's, my stations are right now are 21 is 24/7, if I let it go. I try to regulate them as best I can. I think our plan is good. I think that if I'm gonna use the governor for something, it's gonna be something down the line of replacing some of this AC pipe, which is gonna come down and haunt us big time. And it's gonna need to be done very, very fast with expense. And they're gonna wanna do all sorts of revitalization of certain areas of the town because we're inundated with it, okay? I think this well system right now with well source, we got everything on a timely manner. I think the DEP is happy with the way we're timing it and we're doing it. And I think it could be very much online by the time your projects come to fruition, which probably be in another year or so, or?
Yeah, so where it stands now is there are 3 developers. One actually had presented a plan, and the planning board, at the time I was an alternate on it, made it very clear that they can do it. It was basically, they proposed, I think it was 94 low-income units subsidized by the federal government. And we made it very clear.
That's this mill over here.
Yeah, so that was the first, that was wind development.
Yep.
And we made it very clear, you're not going to stop it, but you're not going to get $1 in tax breaks because you're going to, I mean, with the increase, I mean, they were totally, they actually accused me of being anti-family because I wanted, 55 and older, active life seniors there, apartments like that, 1 bedroom, stuff like that. So we told them, you do it, but you're not getting a dime in tax breaks, and the town's going to tax you at $465,000 a unit because the total rehab on the thing was like 43 million, right? Divide that by the number of units, and so it is what it is. But and then since that time, a developer from Georgia had come up. I just reached out to try to this morning to try to get an update on. They were doing an economic feasibility study on it. They also they bought the Riverside one in Thompson, the big one that used to have the batting cage and stuff. They bought that one, but the numbers on this, from what I was told, look a heck of a lot better than the Thompson one. That proposal is really nice because you're not going for any government grants. It's not low income. What they're looking to do is to do loft style, millennial type, kind of integrate the whole building, market to above market rent, in-ground swimming pools, fitness centers, for active life seniors.
It's over here?
Yeah, so this is the second proposal. And then also, because of the growth of IPG Photonics, making available corporate apartments for Nichols or any of the other Hanky Sass, since we have German company here. Anybody coming in, because we really don't have hotels, but there could be a need for corporate apartments when they have people coming in. And so they were very amenable for that. And then the third one that literally conversation started about 30 days ago is very similar to the second Georgia proposal. It's a company out of Fall River that has developed a bunch of properties in Fall River. So, we've, since our conversation.
How many units are we talking? With this millennial?
Both in the neighborhood of about 100.
100 units?
Yeah. All right. So no matter what you're looking at, whether it's the second or the third proposal, it's about 100 units each. But until the formal proposals are in, right, even the developers are estimating that they're talking it's going to be probably a 3 to 4 year time frame to do all of this work, right? Because you got to go through the permitting, the public hearings, right? And then you got to, the second and third proposal very much want to keep the historic characteristics even integrated, so they want to work closely with our local historical commission. Wynn didn't care. The second and third proposal talked about redeveloping the river along the mill as well. and putting in like a brewery and like a venue type setup there. So the second and third so far are very much in line with the community survey that we did. It'd be nice if they made private sale condos available to folks, but that's not in any of the plans. But, you know, it's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen there. It's our mission. I mean, we really tried when we built the 5-year plan to fish where the fish were, right? And so that's why we had the conversation. Where is the greatest opportunity for development? I mean, there have been, we did a site walk about a village mill district, and we looked at the Park and Shop Plaza and said, you know, there's room to actually put a whole new building there on the right side. And so right now, you've just got that one plaza, you know, what if you did an L there, so to speak, right? But infrastructure, it all comes down to, we gotta make sure we have the infrastructure to do that, and the businesses that expand. And so, when I was here in October, right, we wanted to incorporate your 5-year plan as far as infrastructure and what it would cost. You talk about this big pipe replacement project. How much is it gonna cost? Is it 10 million, 15 million? Is it 30 million?
We won't even know till we actually get into it. If the state tells us they might want 6 miles of it done in a certain period of time, then you could be talking $3 or $4 million of.
Well, the best plans that usually get state approval is if you have an entire plan and you do it by phase 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. And if you price out phase 1 and phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, that's what we go to the state. And you know, what you don't want to do is you don't want to go to the state, ask for 3 million, get 3 million, and find out that you really needed 12 million. I'd rather tell the state, look, this is a $12 million investment. This is phase 1 of that. Right?
We already have the first phase priced out right now.
Well, get that over to us.
You know, so we
Get it over to us. We'll have Don start looking at the grants that are out there. We'll have Central Mass Regional Planning.
Yeah, I'm on that grant for over here. Now, what
Yep.
gets me turned off by these grants is somehow there's demographics come into play, and unfortunately, that Mason Road project could have been in the right demographics I would have loved, and I would have taken care of a lot of that, but now it pushed me over to Jericho, into that area there, you know?
George, you mentioned, if you mention in Mason Road, you might as well mention all the laterals.
Yeah, all the laterals
off
and
of
Mason
it,
Road
and
extension.
all the way,
See, that grant,
you know, I mean,
yeah.
miles.
Yeah, miles, but they look at the
that's kind of-
demographics.
I see what he's saying. What that needs to happen is that needs to be put out into a, this is all that needs to be done. We want to phase it this way, and the total cost is
Yeah.
X.
And you
It's
know-
gonna be $15 million.
And we'll go to the federal government and we'll try for the whole 30 million, if that's what it is. And if they only approve phase 1, phase 2, great. It may be that they commit it, they allocate the funds, and then we just nip it, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and we keep all of our guys employed and.
Would they need, like, engineered paperwork to show proof that it's been estimated and researched properly?
You'd want to, when you respond and present your proposal, you'd want to have that paperwork in there. You know, you'd want to have a reasonable, like, preliminary plan.
That alone would cost $200,000 to have an engineering firm draw up
For all that,
that
yeah.
type of work. But on, going back to the Milliard
There
property,
are grants
Yeah.
to help pay those fees.
going back to the Milliard property, I remember the last time with one of the previous owners, a giant conversation, because the main sewer trunk line runs parallel to that property along the edge of the river. And I believe when the guys are down there working, that trunk line runs like at 3/4 capacity. So the $1 million question is, with the I&I job that we have to take on, can that trunk line hold the water usage from 90 to 100? Because that is the main trunk line from that end of the town, going right down to the treatment plant.
That whole area is infested with laterals going between the homes, you know, and easements or not easements.
Old mill stuff.
Old mill things, you know, they're all interconnected.
And-
Everything from up here flows down West Main, down to the, out and out the plant. So, we're worried about capacity even when we're doing subdivisions and things like that, you know. Now you're talking about that big building with that area of Maine, of sewer main, that's very concentrated, used quite often, and it's up there.
He was told to do a study, a flow study, many years ago. and it never transpired, to see if that main could actually handle it.
So this is a perfect example. When we talk about we're at the big project in different phases, if we, there are economic development grants out there specifically. So let's just say at the end of the day, you looked at this building and say it's going to require this amount of investment for water, this amount of investment for sewer. This will be the direct benefit. The direct beneficiary will be the mill, but will also allow, or solve an issue for this area. And that might cost $700,000 to do those improvements. We go for a grant. We go for one of the community development grants or an economic development grant. That's where the money goes. And there they have something physical, right? They have the historic structure, which is really could be a centerpiece of our economic development. People will get on board with this, but they need to know how much and that it's not just a number reached out
The grant
there.
that's being going after for Jericho, the Jericho area, what does that encompass? Is that just doing the side streets?
I think it's an engineering mostly, right?
Right now, they're starting off the engineering, and we haven't even been approved for it yet. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks okay, but I can't say for sure. It just involves, on the light side of us, it's cast iron pipe there, so I'm trying to enlarge the one on Oxford Ave. I have to stay within that demographics,
Yeah.
but I would have loved to go beyond Oxford Ave, out towards Sunnyside, put a 12-inch in there for future possible industry going further out there, but this is limiting me to just before the Boys Club. So I may get a little bit, but I'm not gonna get that much, And I know they were looking at an industrial parkway up there one time, and they were gonna run the water. Why that wasn't, I don't know what happened with that whole thing. But that was my look, was to enhance that main, because it is nothing but trouble with all the brakes on it, and try to make it so we're ready past Sunnyside. If there's something there, people
Is this a
can,
water grant or a sewer grant?
it's water and sewer.
Both, okay.
There's actually an aquifer by Cemetery Road.
Yeah, there's an aquifer that stops in Oxford side of the line, which we tapped to try to see if we could gather. There was nothing on the Dudley side, everything on the Oxford side.
Again, it's more water down
Yeah,
inside
so,
the town.
we've been there, we know what we'd like to
Don't hold
do,
so much.
the demographics are holding me, that's why I'm asking about demographics, because when the areas of town that we need to take care of, the demographics don't allow us in that area, and that's what happened to me here. I had to be forced to go into this area, which wasn't as appealing to me as I wanted to go, but,
Some grants are income-oriented.
Yeah.
Some grants are just,
you need a guy like, what's his name, the guy who's helping us with this, who's versed in all this stuff, from the various grants and where it can be used and how it can be used. We come to him in a meeting, and he takes all the information and compiles it where it can be best put. And this is what's happening
I
now.
remember when we had that American Recovery Reinvestment Act with the Obama administration, we submitted 4 or 5 shovel-ready jobs. We didn't hear a thing from anyone.
nah.
And I was like, that was an eye-opener. We tried it.
Well, for the big ones, usually you got to do some personal lobbying with your, U.S. senators, your
Well,
congressmen.
What,
your-
Believe me, we're gonna take your pitch and start working on that, start knocking on doors.
George, with the pump, the new 3 wells we want to put in, could we put an article in, like to borrow the money to make it, okay, the wells come back great, and we have that.
That's why I held it off to the next town meeting,
But if we put the article in now to borrow the money, a sum of money,
It's sitting there.
it's sitting there.
yeah.
And whether we actually borrow the money or not is up to us instead of waiting to town
It
meeting.
won't make a difference in the scheme of things. It's just a waiting period too. I have to go through permitting and stuff. Everything is pushing along.
Can't you start, if everything goes well in July and August, we can start the permitting process.
In October, November.
We can start the permitting process as we already have the money, instead of if the permitting process gets approved in January. Well, we can't even go out to bid because we don't have the money yet. Or maybe we can, I don't know, but but the point is, if we have the money, then it's there to do things, to be proactive instead of reactive, which could save us time. And I don't think it's a bad idea just to ask the town, hey, we want to set this money aside. If everything goes well, we want to hit the ground running. That makes sense. You do it in business, you do it, we need to do that.
We have the money for 3's total revamp of 3. Everything is there, ready to go. I mean, testing and
I understand.
installation of the well.
So I
One
think-
is going to be a process that has to hold off just on the testing. They have to go through it all. So you're talking I mean, you could put the money in fall, you could take a loan out for that.
We can borrow as much money as we want, but right now, we're not meeting
We're not
our
borrowing
current
an-
financial
We're not borrowing
obligations
anything, we're
budget-wise.
asking for it to be, for the ability to borrow if needed. You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
saying
It's
take
sitting
the
there.
cash and put it in the bank. I'm saying get
It's like
approval
having a home
to
equity
borrow
loan
the
you're not
money.
using.
But I'm saying, yeah,
can do
but
that.
it also goes with the treasurer when he puts it out he puts that loan out to bid to get the interest rate on it. But what I'm saying is, we can borrow and borrow, but we're having trouble making payments now.
We've got some time, is trying to say to everybody, we've got some time. 3 is going online no matter what with everything. 1, we'll be determining if 1 is a factor or not come fall. Then they'll say, hey, yeah, okay, it's a go, start your next process. We can get the money borrowed in fall, or whatever, because I'm looking at springtime to put that station in operation.
They're not gonna drill in the winter.
No, they're not gonna do anything, and she told me there's months of waiting and permitting that have to be
Can't
done.
get engineering plans done, you can't.
That takes
Well,
months, they, believe me, it takes months to get all that done, they know that.
That's right, we'll
They
start
know
on it
that.
in
But
August, September, it's done for the spring. It's just, I've been through the process before on the suicide especially, but if you get some of this, it's process of elimination. There's 10 things need to be done, 4 or 5 of them are taken care of, now I only have to worry about these 5, and it's gonna be a quicker, more efficient process instead of, you're pushing it instead of pulling it, whatever you wanna call it. One's proactive, one's reactive, and it seems I just don't wanna be reactive.
No,
I
we'll
wanna
be,
make sure we're,
I think we got it pretty much on
when
the
we
ball.
need it, it's there.
The other thing in support of what Scott's saying too, about having the money there, is if you go for a grant, say, and let's just say you're going for $1 million, and they require 25% match, and you got 250,000 there. I mean, to go with a proposal saying that the town has already approved the match of 250,000, that you don't have to the bureaucracy of getting it approved, I mean, it just helps.
Instead
And
of-
again, you don't have to borrow it.
Right.
But
I don't see the hurt in borrowing the money, asking to borrow the money now. There's no negative part to it. It's just coming up with a feasible figure that, okay, we want to put an article in.
We can do
And
that.
you asked to borrow X and you can't borrow it and it's not enough, so we gotta go back again and ask for it again. It just,
But
Then you call a
there's part of-
special.
But there's also part of the process, and again, it's that shovel-ready thing, whereas if you go for $1 million grant for us, and we've approved the 25%, the town's approved the 25% already, and the board who approves the $1 million says, well, you guys have to go to the meeting, and that's not for 4 more months, so these guys already have their money, we're gonna give the money to them, and you apply again next year. And that's happened to Dudley before. Okay, we're not the best at playing the
we
game.
don't
There's a
even
game
have a
here.
number yet.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I gotta
And the
s-
meeting warrant is gonna close in what, 3 weeks?
But no, we don't even know if it's water.
I don't, that's what I'm trying to caution everybody.
But point-
We're trying to borrow
Research.
it,
Yeah.
so a wish.
Yeah.
But we're missing something, guys.
I-
And that
I
every other-
underst-
Every other town is good at playing the game and getting the ducks in the row, so they hit the ground running, and by process of elimination, they put themselves in a much better position, and people who aren't in that position are automatically eliminated, apply it again to us next year, okay? And it's like the Red Sox, we can win it again next year, we can win it again next year. Well, if you get your stuff done up front, you're gonna be in a much better position, and that's all I think John is saying.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense, and that's why towns, I talk to people, their towns get all this money, and Dudley's been saying it for years, we should have a grant person, we should do this, we should do a lot of things, but we don't do them. And these other towns are good at playing the game, and we're not. And that's why we get stuck bearing the burden in our tax rates, or we don't improve our infrastructure, because we never have the funds to do it. So I think we need to start thinking ahead, not, and thinking different. We can't think like our grandfathers, wait till the money's in the bank, and then you can buy that car, son. The world doesn't work that way today. And
Okay,
anyway.
for the projects like the mill and all of that kind of stuff, we can work on that. Talking about borrowing money for something that might happen down the road, how much? How much?
Well,
How
first
much
of
are
all,
we gonna try to put aside for?
Well, he
for-
knows how,
West
can you make any estimates off what's going on with number 3?
That right now, I've put in for 300,000, I could be well off as far as on the good. But 1 is a whole different animal. That's all new piping from a well field, tapping into a well field, plumbing into the station and revamping the corrosion control.
We
That could be
can't-
hundreds of
We
thousands.
can't make a phone call and ask somebody, give me a ballpark
Nobody,
estimate.
nobody knows yet till they actually get the wells
The town of
tested.
Roxbury just did this, I know it cost them 400,000, bang, okay, that's enough to go and say, we know it's gonna cost approximately this, and
We're a different animal on that. The station is old, the piping system is old. We just don't know yet what we're gonna find. And I think we got plenty of time to be proactive because it's gonna take me this much time just to get the stages done. Get the testing done, then they're talking the fall. I'm already gonna be into the fall. So if you wanna go ahead and start thinking appropriate, I might have more information. Yeah, it's gonna cost us 500,000 or whatever. Let's put a bond, a bid in for a loan in the fall and get it going, because I can't do anything till springtime, but I'll have the money there, and they have all the permits out, ready to go, coming in for the
So
year.
you're thinking about spending the money, I'm thinking about getting in line for a grant, which has to happen. If we get the grant approved in the fall, then you don't have to worry about
No,
getting the money
we
in the
could do
spring,
that. You
'cause
could.
it's already there.
You could do a grant, you could do a borrowing and a grant, anything you want in the fall. I'll have more information by then in the fall as to what we ended up coming up with and where we gotta go, where they're gonna make us go, what they're gonna make us do. I could end up having to put a whole new filtration plan in there. I just don't know. This is just a one-step process. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. You can't just go rushing in because everybody is just taking one step at a time, because we could end up borrowing all this money and this, and all of a sudden, oh, no, we're against it. We can't. We found something we didn't like.
You're missing the point. We're not saying borrow the money. We're saying make it possible, permission to borrow the money if we need to. We don't have to wait until the fall to ask permission, if we ask for it now.
We don't know how much, and we won't know until the
He
fall.
doesn't know on number 3 either, but he put in the thing for it.
He does, he has a ballpark.
I had a
for that.
ballpark through the well driller
Yeah,
when we
the
went
guy
through the
come down
specs
and
of
give
how
us
he
some
wants to
specs.
plumb it
That's
in.
right, and all I'm saying is ask one of those well drillers or an engineering firm, whomever, to give you an estimate, just like they did in number 3, and then you have a number that we can go ahead with and get the money and be proactive. We may not use it, we may not even touch it, we may say, you know what, reverse that process and give it back, or whatever it's called. But the fact is, if God bless us, somebody wants to give us a grant of $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or whatever it might be, we're first in line, we get our ducks in a row, we're shovel ready, whatever you want to call it, and we get the money. And the town saves money, that's all
I
I'm
mean, if you
saying.
want to go in the fall, I mean, I can't say anything but the fall right now because I'm already going to be, all my ducks will be on Station 3 and a little bit on 1 just to get the results going. So I'm not going to have any inside of information till, say, October. So, I mean, if you want to start a process of, I can maybe have some information of what it might cost once they get more information in come October timeframe.
Yeah, because right now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, if your drilling goes well, you're good to go. You have the money to do what you need to
If they,
do.
what they'll do is they'll drill it, they'll send the results to an engineer,
Yeah.
to DEP. DEP will review it with their guys, and the engineer will review it on our behalf, say, yeah, everybody will be agreement on what's going on. Then I'll be going back to the well driller, okay, then DP will set some parameters of
Yeah.
how we're gonna tie this into the station, what they want us to do, what we need to do, if there's a filtration system needed, if we have surface water influences or not, whatever.
Yep.
Then, with all that information compiled, and I'm talking mid-fall, just as a rough estimate, I'll have an idea, of, okay, guys, I'll need this contractor for this, I'll need the well driller for this, I'll need that for that. Here's, say it's 500,000. Then, yeah, now we can start, because this isn't gonna happen till next spring anyway, spring, summer timeframe. And have all the ducks in a row as far as a good estimate, what you're gonna need to get this done. Now you can go apply for grants or get the money going for the borrowing part of it if you want. In the meantime, we still have other projects looming, the tanks and things like that, which have to be done. They're just pushing them off a little bit. And it's all riding on these 2 projects for the stations. Communication projects online now for SCADA. That has to be done. So that's another project we're developing. So we have to, like I said, I have to be a little careful. I got to take a little bit of a breath and work on what I need to work on first to get that going first, start that process. Then the information will start coming into me. This is what probably we're going to need at the best estimate. If it's 500,000, 600,000, whatever, we've got a good figure. If it turns out to be 200,000, beautiful. If there's a grant out there, beautiful. We can try for that. At least we have some documentation. Here it is. This is what they're telling me. This is what it is. And I think that's a safe way to go. And come next spring, we're going to begin the process of putting that station online. Spring, summer. It's always going to be spring, summer. no matter how you look at it. They told me there's always lag times between these projects for permitting, for whatever, what have you.
And I don't think any of the developers, I mean, it's not like you can fix one of those buildings in 2 months.
No,
So-
no.
And everyone has been
And there's
saying
gonna be
it's a multi-year
there's gonna be
project.
bidding going out for some of the work. And like I said, I could be way off. It may not be until that, but I can't say for sure, and nobody can say until they find out what the yield of that well will be. And it could be all for nothing. They could say, no, we found this, we did this, we did that, it's no good, and then everybody's back to square one again. I don't wanna get everybody's hopes up that,
I'm not saying personally, it's a done deal. I'm trying to get a point across that if we ask an article to borrow $600,000 to upgrade that station, okay? We get approval for that at town meeting. Whether we actually borrow the money is up to us afterwards.
what would be the difference between now or 6 months from now?
Because in the meantime,
He'll have time to.
he's gonna work on a
He's
grant
gonna
for
work-
us.
He could still work on it now for us. I could give him an estimate of, say, go for
But
500,000.
if he says to the guy at the state, we have $600,000 approved, great. You only need 250, we're gonna give you the other 750,000 to invest $1 million. Or on that 600,000, you only need 200,000, we're gonna give you the other 400,000. Whereas if you say, you don't have the money approved yet, oh, well, Canton does, and Worcester does, and Lowell does, and the money's gonna go there, and we're gonna be crap out of luck again.
But they're gonna say, okay, how much, do you have the supporting documentation to back this need for this money?
Yeah, we
Why
will
don't
give
I-
it for you, we have an estimate.
We've got to come up with these numbers in what, 2 weeks?
Well, we have an economic development meeting on the 16th. Between now and then, let me do some due diligence, and let me see what's out there right now,
Yeah.
or coming up, that's closing for water or sewer type grants out there on both the federal and the state level.
That would be helpful.
And then let's see
what's
what
out
some of
there.
those guidelines are and the requirements. And if you gotta do a quick meeting to do something to meet one of these guidelines, if we think we've got a realistic shot at doing this, then let's do it.
That
All right.
makes more sense, yes.
So let me
Just
meet
saying
with
we
my
wanna borrow just
board,
because.
then,
Here's the article.
It's crazy.
To put it in
2
the
weeks.
2 weeks.
19th.
all right, so we'll have time. And if I see anything, who
But
should I email it
I
to?
can't see myself going before
I
the
wouldn't
townspeople
dare.
and saying, I want to borrow so much money, but they're gonna say questions, well, what's it for, and what do you got going, and,
Right now,
well, we
I
got an
wouldn't dare
anticipation
ask
of
for
a,
any money. We're paying off three water main projects. We're continuing to pay those off. We've
But
got
it's
these
not-
jobs coming
We're
up.
gonna
that
spend the
we-
money anyway.
John,
We don't have it.
but it's not.
Check our budget. We don't
Then
have
why,
it.
then bottom line, why is he spending money to have the well guy go through 3 test holes?
We have to.
Not over at
Well,
that
no,
station,
No, that's.
Then we don't have the money.
if we don't have the money.
We know we have to do Station 3 because we
Yeah.
depend on that.
And we're
well
gonna pay that
20%.
guy to go over here and drill wells.
What's that? That's minimal.
That's minimal,
That's
20,
minimal.
25, 30,000, that's all that
Money.
is.
That's
minimal.
25, 30,000 we don't have.
We haven't retained for that.
Well,
We have that.
We have.
We do, but it's
What I'm
not-
saying is, we're spending money we don't, we're soon to be spending money we don't have.
Well, we don't wanna spend.
But, while the drill is here working in town, yes, come up the road half a mile and do a test bore.
It makes sense to do that, it does.
I agree with
But
that.
it does,
We
because
would have had the tank projects mandated to do anyway, which would have been more money. We were lucky enough to push those off, okay? The other thing is that the SCADA system has to come online. Our overtime is killing us, and that's a must,
Yep.
okay? So we're doing things that are a must. There's no doubt about it. Station 1 is a must. If it's a workable thing, we've got time to start going into these projects as far as
Which
looking
supports
for
it again, we're gonna
grants and things
spend the
like.
money in Station 1, and to have the money sitting there, and if we can't, if it does, it fails, then we say, okay, that money that we borrowed in the fall, we're not gonna spend it, so put it back in the kitty, or whatever the first process is. Town meeting has to say, we give that article we wanna close without spending it down, whatever it's called, I don't know, but you reverse it, and you're back to where you started. You've lost nothing in the process, except the fact is, if you needed the money for something, to maybe get a grant or to show that we're shovel-ready, it's there.
Or
That's
even-
all we're saying.
Even put it, I mean, the quickest way is the supplemental budget that they're gonna be taking up. And so, my question to you, George, the folks that you're dealing with DEP, right, they realize the emergency nature of getting a third source of water,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Would they be willing to write a letter in support of the emergency nature of this request?
I don't know about that, because they're waiting to see the results the same as I am, where this is gonna go. They don't know, they don't have our facts and figures, they're just going by me telling them, that we have a problem, okay? And they have no documentation as far as our pumpage daily for the last few months, or this, or that, the spikes, things like that. Their concentration is definitely Station 3 right now. Station 1 was a sidebar that I incorporated to try to get that moving. All I'm asking for is till at least the fall to work about appropriating money. I know everybody wants to get things going, rush, and to have it ready, but I don't need it ready. I don't have anything in place yet until after, during the fall, where I get more information, more factual information. Maybe it's a scrub, maybe it's all good and go, and this is what they're gonna need. And I know that I can go to the town and say, I need this, this is what's going down the line.
We agree with that 100%. All we're saying is, go in and say, we have Station 1, what do you tell the town, we have Station 1, and we're doing some drilling, and if that goes through, we have to show that we have skin in the game, whatever you want to call it, to the state, so that we can go through the grants. We're just doing it 6 months in advance, so we have the money there, sitting there in case we need it, and we're not going to spend it. We may not spend, just explain, we may not spend any of it, but we have to have it sitting there to be proactive in an attempt to get the grants. Your job is going to be exactly the same, except we're putting in an article now and asking the town to approve it proactively so we can potentially get some grants. That's all. If we don't, if it fails, number one fails, we reverse engineer it. If number one's successful and we wait till the fall, they're going to approve the money in the fall anyway. So we're saying we can't spend it, we have to spend it.
That skin in the game is in retained earnings already. It's sitting there. Whether we say we want, it's there. Okay, we've got it.
So you
But we
just,
don't have approval to spend it,
And we've got the ability to borrow against it. That
We do?
can be, yes, we do.
We do,
When?
but we have to ask town meeting.
We
to-
can do that by asking for a special town meeting at any time.
come on, so you
At
want to
any
get,
time.
you want to spend money on a special town meeting, get the whole town to go up to Shepherd Hill and
No, they do it right here in this-
wherever, and say yay or nay, instead of being proactive and having our crap together. So what's the difference? I don't understand the difference. It's profoundly confusing me.
Give me 2 weeks. Let me talk to Senator Fatman, let me talk to Peter. Let me see if there's a supplemental budget way to go, or a grant way to go. I mean, Ken Bukevich, right? That entire rail trail, he got that through supplemental budget, year after year, 25 here, 25 there.
If that
The whole rail
DPW
trail.
goes through, that could change the whole playing
That's
field.
$25,000.
That could change the whole playing field.
We understand. you're not gonna
I
have
understand
exact
that,
numbers. We
but as I
just-
said, sometimes it's just as difficult.
6 months before it's necessary. Let them find out what the information is. Once we've got some information, we can act on it.
We've been doing that for-
July or August to find
We-
water.
We've been doing that for 30 years and we never get grants. I've been on this board for 25 years, I haven't got, I haven't seen a grant come through. Everybody talks about it, everyone else, every other town's getting grants. We're not, why? Because we suck at playing, we stink at playing the game, period. We don't do it right, and we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, hoping that some golden goose is gonna lay that grant on our table. It's time to think out of the box, do it differently, get it set up so that these guys have the tools in their tool bag to go to the state and say, please give us some money, we're committed, we're going forward with it, and then they'll give you the money. If you wait another 6 months, the state will spend it on something else, it'll be gone, and then you're waiting for the next windfall at the state. I mean, we have to attack this. We can't sit back and say, oh yeah, well, let's just do it in the fall. let's
There's
do it in
another
the
thing that
spring."
everybody's missing here.
We can be here.
Yeah, hold on.
Listen, if we're gonna attack
leave it, I'll leave
that,
it.
then we might as well put everything together, and as you said, go for the 20 million and replace 30 miles of old water main at the same time.
I agree, that's, right, how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time?
Don't just go for the pump station, then listen, let's go for the 30 miles of pipe you want.
Guys,
Okay.
The immediate need, right, is that third water source. 300,000, George, 400,000, how much is that third water source gonna cost?
I don't know, I really don't know, until I get more
Ballpark.
information.
What's your gut telling you from your? years of
500,000, 600,000 maybe, if I'm even in the ballpark.
All right, so I'm gonna talk to Ryan and Peter and say, look, emergency, third water source, estimate from start to completion, 500. What can you do for us with the budget?
Another thing, John, I just want to mention this fact to everybody, because it's going to come. This new DPW may change this whole scenario, because I'm not going to have control over where my destiny goes. And I'm telling you, there's going to be conflict here. And I told this to the Board of Selectmen, there will be conflict, because our certified operators have mandated protocols to do. This is one of them here. is to ensure, try to go for a third water source. But that may not be in the realm of the director's purview, but he may want something else done, which takes us away from all this, okay? Well, I won't have to worry about it, but whoever takes over the thing will have to worry about
But
it.
that's also where the Economic Committee is a good source, because they can talk to our selectmen and say, hey, tell DEP to cut the crap. They had us marching up route, up this way, and now they're telling us to march that way.
No, I'm talking DPW, the DPW committee.
They can tell the DPW, they have a lot of leverage, say DPW, listen, Dudley's going that way because you told them you can't change it in Maine right when they're in the middle of the process.
Let me just, and I don't like bringing this stuff up here because a fellow town very close to us, okay, had a problem with a administrative DPW director, okay, putting down certain requirements that didn't meet the needs of the department. So eventually, and it didn't take long, the complaint was filed with DEP. DEP came into the town, they took over the department, put a part-time engineer / superintendent in place to make sure that their instructions were followed, okay? Cost the town lots of money, and we're behind on their projects and work for many, many months and even years, okay? They're still trying to recover. You cannot get away from the fact there will be conflict, and I try to tell this to everybody. We're a small water department, okay? It's one thing if a whole town is water, sewer, and DPW already in place. That's good and dandy. But there's not one person in this town who's been in any of our pumping stations, knows what we do, knows what's going on since back in the days when guys come out with shovels and go fix a water main. That's all by the boards now. It's all different, okay? It's all state mandated, certified operators who work hard to get their licenses, and I get a kick out of hearing how many salaries are going to be. They're going to determine their salary because there's not many of them around. The old guys are leaving now; they're getting out of it, and the new kids have to get these licenses, and a lot of them don't want to do it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of prep, a lot of accreditation, and continuous getting your credits to continue. But this project here is all great because we know where our destinies go. But when you get into something like that, they're going to tell you, oh, no, you got to go do something on the highway or something over here. And every day you delay something that is needed to be done, it's like delaying it for weeks. You'll never catch up.
We're gonna talk forever. Why don't you
we need to
find
stick
out
to the
what's out there
agenda.
for money?
Let me find out, let me tell you the results of my conversation with Senator.
Gladly, you've heard our side of the story. We could spend millions. We could spend millions on upgrades. We don't have millions. It's your job to find the money. Economic development. You tell us what's out there.
Well, let's see what the whole elephant looks like.
Yeah.
We'll try for the whole elephant.
I mean,
but
we like I
little
say,
pieces
our wish
too.
list is upgrade, and this topic came out of, it's like, it was under our nose, but we never looked at it, to do look into an upgrade.
I commend you
It was
for
right under
looking
our
at it.
nose.
That's right, yeah.
We never thought of it. We are doing upgrades this summer. We have the appropriations, and like I say, our wish list, water and sewer, is in millions, tens of millions. We can't solve that tonight at tonight's meeting, so we're gonna carry on.
Yep.
Thank you for your
And
time.
then, just one other thing. The article in the Webster Times, the Economic Development Committee, we've never, ever reached out to the Webster Times, except to let them know that we're doing a survey. Jason Blue is one of the best reporters I've seen in ages. One day I think this young kid is gonna get a Pulitzer or something. He literally goes through the videotapes on YouTube, because every meeting is there, and he writes about what he wants to write about. So it's not, Scott, I know you made the comment that before we go run into the press and issue these releases on this stuff, that's not how it happened. We had it, all right?
I hate getting information in the news.
Well, we should watch our meetings.
No, it's not just you.
Yeah.
It happened with the Board of Selectmen and a sewer line that runs from Oxford to Webster through
Yep.
Dudley, to no benefit to the town of Dudley.
But we're transparent, a lot, again, we meet once a
okay.
month, we have a lot of new volunteers, we brainstorm, and that was definitely a topic, it's like, so what do we do? What's our role in this? There were some people on economic development said we shouldn't do anything, it's not our purview. And there's others that said, yeah, this mill, this economic development, we're dependent on it. And so that's why I come here. So what I would simply ask is, if you're ever feeling friction or any kind of concern, we've known each other, just call me, and likewise. So I thought this was a great meeting, thank you for having me.
Could I ask?
Thank you, guys.
Could I ask a personal?
Sure.
Could you we meet every month, could you come to every 5th meeting or something, just to keep us up to date?
Either myself, and what I'm trying to do is get some of the newer people more involved as well.
Just
So Yeah, just,
You know, or even just send us memos.
Well, what I will
Whatever,
do
but
is-
I love this conversation, I do.
yeah, I do owe you follow-up, so maybe on your next meeting, but I'll probably get in touch with you beforehand on the results of
Yeah, let
the,
us know.
yeah. And then, once I
We have to
shoot
get
you the
another
email,
meeting
I'll send it
going.
to Lori, and Lori will send it to you guys.
Then if we have to get another meeting going to, we can do that.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Okay, update on tank cleaning, we already been
Yeah, that's already
appraised
been,
of that, that's pushed off for a year. 5-year capital improvement plans, is there any input on that?
That
That
was,
we have them in our packet.
George did a great job of presenting the 5-year capital plans to the Capital Improvement Committee at 5:30 this afternoon. And it's pretty self-explanatory what's there. Got a lot of questions and from them, and George did a good job of answering all of that.
So we met our obligation there.
We met our obligation to let them know.
To keep those folks know what-
And they're
what's going on.
they're gonna make their recommendations. They're gonna make their recommendations to town meeting. Although we'll hear about them, I'm sure, beforehand. But I think they were accepting of these proposals.
They received it. Okay. Revised articles for the May town meeting.
yeah, just quickly, we took off the tanks, they're moving those, and the rest is the stations, as we discussed, so it's pretty straightforward. And the I for the sewer, that's taking the brunt of them for the next couple of years with all that stuff. So they were advised of that, and the
I know
capital improvement was advised of
We've
that,
talked
too.
about the water, but we have that I bill coming up
Yeah.
for phase 2.
Yeah.
So that's at the town.
Yeah, we're keeping in line with the phases as they're going and
Yeah.
and appropriating what we need, so,
Let me ask a question on that. A few years ago, we spent some money on trying to get rid of the I. And one of the things that they had was, for lack of a better term in my untechnical approach, was they would inject stuff into the pipe that created a new pipe. It hardened on the inside of the old pipe and
like lining the pipe.
yeah,
Epoxy, yeah.
yeah. I don't know what it was, but yeah, probably epoxy. So there's material and there's professionals who do that. Is there any value in maybe sending somebody from water and sewer, I don't care where they come from, but to that type of training, have them sign something saying they won't go off and develop their own company in the meantime, but then us doing it as a department, you know how we do jetting and stuff? Maybe we could line, I don't know, a mile of pipe a year or something, if we knew how to do it, if we had the material. I don't know what certifications are involved, but you know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, if you were the janitor in the building, you get your plumber's license so you can do the plumbing without calling the plumber.
Yeah.
Because we do have.
Could look into it and see, I mean, I could talk to Mike and see if he can come up with something that, you know, where they can find people, somebody who does that, give us some information on how they do it or how it's done or
What it
whatever.
would cost for equipment.
Yeah.
You know,
The equipment, you'd probably have to hire more people if we're starting to take that kind of work on. We've got 2 guys on the sewer.
Right, but we have access to the water guys too, and so we could
Yeah.
pay, we could
Let's
pay
find out what it
highway.
is.
They've got
Yeah.
their other,
Yeah.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm sure it's big costs, I've seen some of those jobs. A bit large equipment,
Yeah.
big heavy equipment, you know, where you go in and line it.
I wonder if, on the water side too, if we have any leaks or anything, or larger pipes, not the 2-inch, but bigger ones, if maybe there's a way to do it, just so wherever pipes come together, and I'm not sure if they're all welded, I'm not sure how the water system works.
They're sealed with a gasket, like our new ductile, and they're,
Even if they're
we
100,
never have trouble. If
100
they're put in
years
wrong,
old.
that's the only way they leak, if somebody put them in wrong.
but if they're 100 years old,
Even that, even the 100-year-old, they seal themselves even pretty good, because all the material attaches to them, so it acts as a nice seal.
sediments.
Yeah, sediment does wonders.
Because I know that the sewer ones come apart and stuff. But anyway, just a thought.
Water sewer budgets.
Do you want to hold, water sewer budget, you want to? We've been working on this budget, on both budgets right now, and as you know, we're running into some issues because of the added chemical use, overtime. The projects that we've been handling with all these breaks and things have really put us over the edge. The other thing is the new upcoming meter stuff. There's new technology now that can catch a lot of wasted water, a lot of people who are not, the billing in that is not, we're not getting accurate accounting of what is owed to the town. I think, I talked a little bit to Jay about this, I think we should bite the bullet, and we're getting there now with that, like I said, I'm putting all these integrated systems in, but I think we need to really get this new system, it's like a $10,000 system that will totally revamp our meter reading technology, including in the office, where they can actually pick up where people are saying, we have a possible leak, or there's a meter problem. It's just incredible, the new technology. It can pinpoint exactly whose usage has gone up for some reason or gone down, or they're not, the bill isn't jiving with the usage, which is a big thing.
I would have appreciated that.
Yeah, and it makes them, believe it or not, we're even getting into that now, where a lot of the monies that we're finding out our losses we're gaining back money that has been going on for years now that they haven't been able to trace down. And Brian's been doing a good job going, and finding these things where we can go. We've already started put notices out for closure for water shut off. Some people still aren't responding. Others have, but some aren't even responding. So we're going to be shutting them off with the final constable. This is all coming into play now, where it's going to save this department a lot of money, and we're going to start really seeing our revenues go up. But for the time being, the budget is we should do it now. Next year's gonna be a little bit tight with the budget. We may have to even raise some base levels up a little bit on the base rates, because just to cover some of this stuff. Our overtime has gone through the roof with the alarm system problems and things like that, and with the projects.
With the SCADA system, once that gets approved at town meeting, how long will it take to get that on?
He should be getting it right on, starting in June, right away. I'm trying to get him lined up quickly. He's hard to pin down, but he knows we need to get that.
Once he starts working on, how long is it gonna take him to get it?
He didn't really say how long. It shouldn't be too long, maybe a week or two or something like that.
Okay, so
At least do the main trouble stations first.
In a month's time, we should have most of our system.
Most of the trouble systems done where it's causing us all the alarm
This is to
activation.
eliminate the
Yeah.
old copper
Yeah,
reporting system.
the old analog, the.
Copper.
Yeah. Did you want to say more about
Copper
the budget?
circuits that aren't being supported anymore.
No, I think the only thing that the budget is a little more accurate this time, because Brian was actually going through what we've spent. He went through all the bills so that we can see exactly where we stand right now and where we need to be.
Okay, this system that you're talking about, a little bit more about what it is?
I'm even a little bit in the black about it because it's fairly new, but even Lori's not too versed in it yet. Brian was meeting with the, because he's like the meter guy, he was meeting with the representative from Tire Sales, and they're giving us a demonstration of the capabilities of this. It's almost like in a handheld situation, but there's software for the computer in the office. So everything coincides together. And if you go out in the field, it's almost like when we're reading by radio for the meters. Well, the meters are now delivering more information on the software than before.
Yep.
So it'll tell us what the readings were on the software back 2 years ago or 3 years ago, how the cycles are showing that, hey, this person here is jiving with what the bill is showing on the computer, that, there's a problem here. There's not enough,
So that's an update of what, I think the last time we updated that system was
oh,
5,
jeez.
6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Time.
It's, that's why I put the integrateds in, because they're jiving with the new technology now, so that we can advance in our.
Can the budget at this point in the year bear that kind of a cost?
I think so. We were looking at it closely to see if we have a few little left to do it, just to get it done, to get this online, because I think our savings are gonna give us a real good rewarp of rewards.
Is there any other spot where we have to worry about spending money we don't have in the budget?
Aside from what we've already know,
Chemicals, electricity?
chemicals, it's always chemicals, electricity, overtime,
Wow,
And-
it depends on how Rex.
and the indirects are gone up immensely too.
Can I go back to the budget for a minute? It's, the overtime went from 12 to 40 and what the hell's the other
Well, we're
one?
not-
21 to 40 on the
I
budget.
We're not even talking about that yet.
I thought we were. I thought we were talking
No,
about.
You mean
talking
for
about
what,
money.
you're asking for what we put in for?
Yeah.
I know Brian said that he calculated that by just
Who's
the,
Brian?
one of our water guys.
Yeah,
Ryan Dorval.
Brian Dorval,
That-
yeah.
I mean, what did we spend this year? we know, year to date?
Well, it's out of control this year because of the alarms.
Yeah.
And water main breaks.
But
Yeah.
how that was calculated was just the weekend checks that you have to do, that accounted for like half of it, and then even if you got, I think he said like 1.5 calls outside of the office hours is how he calculated
I
it to
th-
that amount.
I think they're still too high for each department. I can't answer for water, but I don't know how, unless I know the actual number, you went from 12 to 40, what changed?
The overtime, the alarm problems, all the call-outs. We were averaging about 5 a week.
A 325%, 333% increase?
You have to pay the overtime whenever the guy gets called out for any type of, and I'm not just talking the alarms, I'm talking main breaks. We were inundated with them.
And what's standby?
Standby is just standing by for coverage. Each buddy takes a standby for the days for the beeper. So if you get a call out, that person is available to respond.
So how come that increased from 10,000 to 13,000 for one, and then 5,000
That
to
rate,
13,000?
that rate has increased by union contract because it was inadequate back in the time. So it had gone up,
They've been paid.
yeah. Yeah.
Electrical's way up. Indirect costs are way up, like you said.
And I said this earlier to you, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll make the motion, that we level fund indirect costs until we get an answer. I'm done waiting.
Yeah.
I'm done waiting, and I'm not taking any more time off from work to come down and try to chase somebody down. If they can't give us information as to why that's going up that much, and what that's covering. Sorry.
Group health insurance is decreasing?
I'll second that motion, Scott.
I'm done. I'm
Did you
done.
make a motion on that?
Well, we're still discussing general budget stuff.
Budget, yeah.
Can we get back to that expenditure for the software first, so that we can deal with that, and then we can go on to dealing with the budget?
Yeah. Is that something you should propose to us next month, maybe? Bring the paperwork in on it and at least give us, let us
Yeah,
see
I
what
believe,
we're,
I believe it's,
let us see what we're buying.
I believe with everything in place, it's probably about 15 grand, something like that, with all the assorted
Add-ons, yeah.
add-ons that go with it, yeah. I'll see if I can get some more information on it, because
Is it a meter reader or is it just a computer, you can
yeah, it's,
analyze?
It's a combination.
yeah, it's a combination. There's a small system for running around to do testing of certain things, and then there's a software program for the computer along with another piece of apparatus that
Is it compatible with our point
Yes.
bookkeeping system?
Yes,
It is.
yes.
I'd
In
love
our
to hear
meters.
it, but I don't think we should
Yeah.
vote on it
Oh,
now.
no, we can't vote on it.
Now, let me get more information on it, and
Get some
I'll.
information.
And get that
We
out.
just may want to do it before next, I mean, we want to bite the bullet now because
Yeah.
we're wasting a lot of money by not getting this we're wasting,
Get the information out to us, and then we can make a
But once we
determination.
get the SCADA system on, we should be saving.
on the alarm side and the overtime, yes, that'll cover that part of it. This will cover all the revenue we're losing on the meter side. And then come next fiscal year, next budget, we should be in pretty good shape as far as starting to gain more momentum on
That SCADA
revenues.
system will also eliminate the need to have somebody go and check the stations every day.
Well, that's mandated, that's mandatory. We have to do these checks. But during the week, as far as if after the morning checks are done, you have to do morning checks. You have to fill the day tank.
Okay, well, yeah, you
Oh,
do that during your
Yeah,
shift.
but as far as eliminating anything that's an actual alarm, just because of a malfunction or whatever, that'll eliminate that. The stations are not communicating with each other now, with the main station. So there's always, when it's ready to turn on, it won't, the alarm goes off. It's supposed to turn off, it won't, the alarm goes off. I mean, DEP has put these alarm systems in place. They made us put it this technical, this much into place. We really didn't want to do it that way, but they check it every time they do a sanitary
Yeah, they
survey.
come down and do their survey.
We have to, we have no
see it.
choice.
All right.
Yeah.
Get it out as,
Yeah, so
we'll hold
get
it
us some
until the next
information.
meeting.
Yeah, I'll see if I get some more
Are you
information.
done buying meters?
No, I'm gonna buy some more meters, just because we do have some people waiting for new installs. We ran out, and,
Do you have the
70
money
on
to
the
buy the
waiting list
meters?
right now.
yeah, 70 people are on the waiting list for meters right now because of malfunctioning meters. Old meters, things like that. So, we're looking at that. Yeah, everything comes at once. But yeah, I'll get you that information. I'll see you.
Let's see your water and sewer monthly report.
Yeah, I'll do it real fast. As you know, I submitted a 5-year capital improvement plan. Monthly bacteria samples came back clean. We dug with the sewer department, who I thank very much for helping us, at 45 Lions Road, replaced the one in service, which was really leaking very badly, so it was filling that whole area up with water. We had the main break at Ramshorn Road and Corbin Road. National Grid broke the pipe when they drilled their device into the ground.
Will we bill them for that?
I'd rather not. They work close hand in hand with us. If we have a problem, we hit a gas main, we don't get any gruff about it. I'd rather not ruffle the feathers. I really wouldn't. There was an honest mistake because we have no actual markings there. We never had a main break there, so we have no accurate reading with a main.
You're on the corner, right?
Yeah, and the main was very close to their pole already. All they wanted to do was try to move it over a little bit. It was a crapshoot as to which way to go, and they made an honest attempt.
All
So I wouldn't. We dug over here, 47 West Main Street, a customer leak. We couldn't shut it down. The curb stop was faulty. Wouldn't allow us to shut down. We dug down to it, got at least a tie-in, and they're gonna take it and do the rest and finish all the damage that was done to their front yard. The stairwell fell and all that. People waited too long to report it, so, but they're gonna take care of all that part of it. We just plated it for them, so it'd be easier for them. I did give you the
Implementation.
Yeah, whatever.
schedule.
I gave you that. You got that already. The article's in. Strongest Hydraulics came down to perform maintenance on the 3 PRV pits, Haley Road, Dresser Hill down there, and Mason Road. Just one 2-inch Ross valve needs replacement, that's it. So that was good there. On the sewer side, did just annual stuff, plowed, shoveled stations from the snowstorm. They dug with us on Lyons Road. They replaced the base on La Prize Court. He made out his 220 budget. They degreased some stations. They called, there was a backup at McGee Toyota. I guess they took care of that, or let them know what was going on there. They had a inspection, they did an inspection for the fire department over here, and they were called for a customer problem on Fifth Avenue. And they did get the camera with everything that's needed, and it comes right in with budget, and they're putting it together now. So it should be ready to go online very
Saw the
shortly.
voucher and they.
Yep. Quite a nifty little thing, and
Have
that's,
you seen it?
yeah.
We're gonna have to start training on it.
Yeah, the guys will be coming down and training. I'm not too happy with the training, the cost of the training, but I can't say anything about that.
We don't wanna break it.
No, no,
Don't wanna lose it.
no.
So back to these proposed, when do these budgets need to be submitted?
They already have been.
They already
They
have
were
been?
submitted on the 15th.
Like I said, are those indirects, I'm dead set against raising them a
Well,
dime.
those budgets are
26%.
based on our income.
That was based on our needs. The projected revenue sheet is based on our projected revenue that we have coming in. As you can see, we're a little short
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah.
water's indirect costs are going up 26%, and sewers are going up 11. Why? For what?
I thought waters were going down. I mean, what do I-
Water's
what do I
going up
ask?
26%.
Yeah, I know they're going up.
And what is that getting us?
Better not do the final one of these.
We always have a savings for fire
I wonder about the
protection.
envelopes.
We're always
Well, we
crediting
need to know
a
if we're
number.
doing it.
Yeah.
Having a fire hydrant for fire protection on that.
That's not even putting a dent in it. Fire protection isn't
That's
putting a dent in it.
I mean, it's ridiculous. $170,000 a year we're paying the town. For what?
Where do you see that number?
85.5 for water and 85.4 for sewer. That's $170,000.
From 160 in 2 years.
That's absolutely insane.
So the
And I'll use a phrase they like to use down there,
Sorry,
it's
it's 135,
cockamamie.
136.
It's BS. And I'm done dealing, looking at this crap every year.
They
don't wanna answer our questions, fine.
I'm sorry, what?
Those numbers with the increase to those accounts,
For the indirects?
Yes.
You're talking about? Mm-hmm.
the
Rich is
budget.
the one that gave us those.
and
They
we
just
And we submitted it
dictated-
with their numbers already?
Yes, I get the numbers from them.
Does he have a
With no
baseline
explanation.
item, totaling it all up?
No, I
How we
don't have
achieved
any,
it?
I don't have any of that.
They don't show like a line, like we did our budget, in order to come up with $85,000,
No, in years-
how'd you achieve it?
In years past, because the notes that were there when I came into this position said 2.5%, to have it go up each year. So I asked Debbie, it said to ask Debbie, if that's the correct percentage, and she said this year there was a lot of costs that went up, so she sent me to Rich, and that's what he gave me for a figure.
I wonder if we could outsource everything ourselves and see what the actual amount would be doing that versus,
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for incidental expenses. considering we pay for our own postage, we pay for our own copying and paper, what value is that to us? Heat?
Do you want a letter sent to Rich asking for a breakdown? Stop there, I
we've
don't know
done
if it
that.
would come from him.
I've been asking for it for 2 years.
Don't we have to sign off on
You
this
put it
budget?
in writing.
I made 2 appointments with the town administrator, both of which I was stood up.
Don't we have to sign off on this budget, though?
Well, the budget balances, so.
Yeah, as long as it
we'll
balances, yeah.
accept it,
No,
right?
no, we have to,
No, this has already been submitted.
Yeah, we don't have to, they don't have to
no,
approve
let's
it.
change the numbers, sign it and resubmit it saying this is the official budget.
67,000 to 85,000.
They used to have.
What the hell went up
What
that
happened-
cost $20,000?
What happened to the finance committee? We used to go in and sit down before we go through your budget line by
That's
line.
what's gonna happen from this was the first step. We had to submit it to the selectmen. Actually, we submitted it to Debbie, she was sending it to the selectmen, and then the meetings are supposed to happen with the department heads and the finance board.
When?
I've got the schedule in the office, I can
Well,
look
I'll
at
have to be there to voice it.
I'm sure they'll be during the day.
On night and televised, at night and televised.
it. I don't know when, it just had the dates on there.
That's where you go and say.
I'm
it's
sure
not
they'll
gonna
be during the day.
That's the time when you wanna say your piece is
Is
in that
point.
meeting.
Does that bill come all at once, or does it come quarterly?
They take, right after the town meeting, they take it out.
They take it right at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
The whole thing?
The whole thing, yep.
That giant sucking sound, was it Ross Perot that said that?
Can we change it and resubmit it? Is that possible?
Yes,
Um,
of course you can.
What, when
When was it due?
Finance board.
We sent it in, it was due on the 15th, we sent it on the day it was due.
Of March?
March 15th.
Yeah, I would change these numbers, have it signed off.
Especially that much of an increase.
Have it
It's
signed,
insane.
have it signed off and resubmit it, say, to the finance board and the selectmen, say this is our official.
I know what they're looking at now that I think of it. The roof, the air conditioning, you're
So
paying for
what?
that. Because you use.
And what's our square footage, that's the piece that you pay, so
Well,
that,
we're
what's the
using this
driver,
room-
of the-
We're using this room tonight too.
yeah, but what was
So you
the,
think about it, you know?
Yeah, but we
we'll
use
have
it
the
for
meetings in
3
our
hours.
office
You
done,
know?
right? You're already paying for it.
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you guys 100%, but I'm sure the way it's figured, it's, you use this room, you use the services of the treasurer, the town accountant, the assessor's office,
But
you know.
And
the
what
town
percentage of their
administrator.
salaries are we paying
And
at that kind
That's
of?
what I'm saying.
Jay,
How's it achieved?
maybe
How's it
that's-
achieved?
Maybe a good idea to have Rich Camiani come to our next meeting, and he can answer all the questions.
You know, would you say $180,000 with and not that they're over or underpaid, that's probably 4 or 5, or at least 4 people working here. We could take care of the whole salary.
It's insane. So, in any case, we're obviously not gonna
For now on, when that budget comes in and those line items, send it back to them as zero. Indirect
Do what?
cost. When we submit a budget from now on, we should put the indirect cost at zero. Send them in, say, no, we're not paying any.
What else is left on the agenda?
So we'll
We have to
we'll have to be
discuss the
aware
stuffing
to
of the
attend a
outsourcing.
finance and advisory board meeting
Yeah,
on the
I'll-
budgets.
Okay.
I'll check and see what date
You
that
know?
is. They're
And
supposed
we'll
to
have
reach
to-
out to us and they
We'll have to
haven't
post
yet.
it as a meeting so we can go to voice our displeasure.
What about the outsourcing
Yeah,
of
now
stuff?
we're going on to line item 14.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, we're gonna be starting our billing on Monday, and as you know, this last quarter, it was outsourced, and we got an additional bill for it. And I
We
know
didn't
there
pay
was
it,
some.
right?
We
We did.
did, because we never got any resolution. I
The-
went
the-
to,
The vouchers went through before,
well,
before
even
we-
after that, because the sewer one went through, I had the water one pulled, but I wasn't getting any answers. I met with Rich and, well, you went to the selectmen, they told you that they knew nothing about it. I went to Rich, he said that he was told by the selectmen to do it, that I had to go to
Yeah, they're
Greg.
playing a
I
freaking
sent
game
an
with
email
us.
to Greg and I never heard anything. All the time we have this bill that we do owe, so I paid it.
I wouldn't pay it, I'd let it sit there. Who, did they come to you? Did
Well,
Did who come to me?
the people who the bill was from,
Was due to?
who did
No.
they interact with at the town hall?
Treasurer's office.
Good, I wouldn't have paid it, I would have made them go through the treasurer.
well.
No,
we-
they didn't
no,
reach
but
out
we-
to
we-
us,
We get a,
but
we
we
get a
know that we had a
bill, we got a
bill.
bill from the town of Dudley.
I know, I wouldn't
To cover
have, they
county
can't take it
grants.
out of your account if you don't sign off on it. So if you
Right.
don't sign off on it, they will come down and say, why aren't you paying my bill? Why don't you come to the meeting when we
I
have?
believe they've set it up so that the TA has signing authority.
Who's the
on
TA?
vouchers. Town administrator.
How can he have signing authority on an enterprise? Who set that
I
up?
submitted vouchers. We had signed those vouchers, our
They
department.
got signed
I
at the floor
think
shuffle.
I think it came down to, it was a well overdue bill, and it was a small business, and we felt it was our obligation to pay that business.
It's all-
for the
it's
He
their-
services.
their
He
obligation
charged,
to
he
pay.
charged the
Services.
town of Dudley, they're just taking it out of our internal account. So his internal account.
Okay, so,
So what do you want to do this billing
How do you
cycle
wanna
is
do the
my
billing
question.
now?
Do not
you-
want to pay.
Do not-
if
Do
we
you
get-
not want to outsource? Because
We-
I'm sure they're going to charge us
We are
again.
not, I vote, what do you want to say, we're not paying, I am not okaying paying for an outsourced company.
Okay, so you want to keep it doing it the way,
so
even
how
if it's
are
us
we gonna do
doing.
it now?
They're going to make us do it all ourselves, I'm sure.
We'd be stuffing the envelopes.
We'd be
And-
stuffing in.
That's the reason why we're not paying
Well,
so
let me
much
know.
for
I'll come
indirect,
down- I'll come
because
down
part
a
of the
couple of nights and
indirect
stuff.
was for them to do it.
Okay.
That's
I
right.
don't think you need. to
And
make a
85,000, we're
motion.
not outsourcing, their billing
But
clerk should do it.
I know by
That's
looking
part
at
of
the
the billing
bills,
process.
I'm looking at the bills, I'm ballparking the numbers, it was about $1,200 for postage and about $200 for the stuffing.
How is it $1,200 for postage?
50 cents an envelope.
We're sending out
2,400 envelopes.
5,000, we're sending out 5,000 bills.
It's very, it's just simple.
We
math.
are, we don't put it in an envelope?
When we do it by hand, we were. Inside, we were
Yeah.
putting up to 4 bills in an envelope.
All right.
Outsourcing, they
Well,
all
we're
went
not
in their
sending,
own.
we're sending a
You
water.
know, I know, I got 5 envelopes in
So-
one day from the town
so-
of Dudley,
So we should
all with
do,
wrong envelopes.
we should do it inside and they
So,
should stuff
are
it.
we capable of they still do the printing?
They'll do the printing, it's just that we would do all, in the past, how it was handled
No,
is in the
we're
town
paying them
hall.
to do it. Part of the indirects,
No,
we
Rich
pay.
is doing that. Rich prints them like he always has.
Oh,
He
are
can
they
do
Part
it.
of the
Yeah.
indirects, we need to tell the town, part of the indirects we agreed to pay back when they did the study is when they were doing the stuffing. So that's one of the reasons why they're saying we have to pay so much indirect. If they're saying they're not doing that for us, we should be paying them less. Bottom line.
And don't outsource. I make a motion that we don't,
Well, wait a minute, I just wanna clear it up. The computer system is linked to whose printer?
Rich, in the past, how it was done is Rich printed out all the bills.
In
here, in the town
In the
hall.
town building?
Yes.
Then why did we use the outsource company? What did they do?
I don't know, I honestly don't know if they printed the bills for Rich or if they just folded them,
Why was
stuffed
there
them,
an
and
They put
printed
them, they
them.
put them through, they have a machine.
why was there an
And they put it
outsourced
through a machine
company?
and just jams it in an
So they're
envelope.
printed here, then someone takes cases of bills.
I don't know that
Yep.
for a fact. I don't know
Yes.
if they printed
They-
them there or
If they
he
have a
sent them a
folding
file.
machine, they send it through, it puts it in the envelope, seals the envelope and meters it
And
all.
their
They-
postage meter.
Yeah, they stuff the envelopes and
Yeah.
we get charged for that stuffing, stuff that we used to do way back.
They
Where
probably
they'd
have a
all be
machine
printed,
that
every
does it.
printed out, all we gotta do is sort it, put it in the envelopes, and
And we have a postage meter here.
We do.
And there's no sorting and anything on that machine?
In our machine?
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't seal it for you, like lick it
No.
for you and all that
No.
stuff?
So in other words, we can't print our own bills.
We could.
Out of
Well, you
our
mean
office.
us out of
Yeah.
our office? No,
Yeah.
because it's not on our end of the software for point.
We have
That's,
input, not.
that's a product of the way billing is done in the town of Dudley. It's done by the collector's office.
Right.
Purpose.
We are paying indirect costs
For
for the
the-
collector's office.
To do it.
They're raising our indirect costs by,
Yeah.
on the water side, 26%. For what? And then we're still gonna get a bill for $200 to have somebody else stuff the damn envelopes? That's, no, BS.
Hey, what happened to that young kid that was helping us?
He's just an intern.
But wait a minute, but we still have access to the postage meter
Yes.
on our account. So what we're saying is, print the bills, bring them over to our office,
And we'll just.
the
stuff-
crew will stuff them, and we'll go to the postage meter in the town hall and run them through the postage
And we will
meter
take-
And
Yep.
take them to the
The
postage.
time
And Tom will
it
come get
takes for you guys to stuff them, whatever it is, money-wise, should come off the indirects.
If we're doing them, absolutely. That's, what does, then that's what I've been asking for 2 years. What does indirect cost?
You wanna know what his
cost.
cost driver is for each indirect.
What's
expense.
driving these costs?
It should
I
be
know we
things like
went through this
square
over when
footage.
We were down on Schofield
For
Ave.
10 years, we were going over it.
When we were on Schofield Ave, we went through this and indirect costs, and it was a major storm back
It did.
then.
So when you look at
And
it,
all of a sudden, it's just like, poof.
when you
We
look
got
at
jammed. There
it,
was a chairman of the board.
when you look at it,
that
it should be
met with
square
them and
footage or
we know
heads,
nothing.
most likely that are driving each of those indirect costs.
How
So,
far out of sight was that bill last month, the last quarter?
I think it was an additional 300 is what
Yeah,
we
300
figured.
something, 300 something. Well,
So
I mean,
annually it'd be
it's
1,200.
pennies.
It's pennies.
It's pennies in
and
our
it saves-
budget, but it's the concept. It's bull.
It's pennies in your budget, and it saves a lot of grief have people tied up doing.
I get that, but
paying
we're
for them to
already
be
paying
tied
for
up.
it.
Yeah.
I
We're
don't,
already paying for it.
I don't have a problem with them outsource if that's what they wish to do, but take it off our indirect bills, because we're already paying for them to do it.
I have a problem with them outsourcing it. I mean, if people were busy 100% of the day or 85% of the day, and I'd say, okay, outsource it. But if people have, there's no increase in cost to have everyone in the town hall. I don't care what department they're in. There's 10,000 bills and everyone gets together and, buying pizzas and they all sit there stuff in the envelopes. Fine, I'm sure everybody can, it takes an hour. I'm sure we're gonna find an hour in their week every 3 months to stuff the envelopes instead of sending it out to be done. I mean, I don't understand.
These have to be out, so you have a 30-day billing cycle to pay those bills before June 3rd. So these bills have to be out at the beginning of June or
Put
the
the
end of
date
May.
on our calendar.
And they have to be
It's
It's
collected
gonna
by
go
the,
out the middle of
That's what
May
I'm getting at.
and
They
will
gotta
be
go out
due the middle of
May,
June.
and the money has to be collected before the fiscal year
Right.
ends.
It's the
I'm
middle
not-
of May and the middle of
So I'm just questioning, do we just say, let the company do it for $300 and bring it up to another fight?
No.
Because they won't, like I said, I've been asking for 2 damn years. At least that's my vote. No.
I don't have a problem with, if they wanna outsource it, get us the bills, they're paying for it, bottom line.
I was stuffing envelopes last week, so I don't know what the thought is, I'm too good to stuff an envelope, but you do what you gotta do to get the job done, period. So,
Okay.
I
What's-
am
how do you-
adamant,
So what's the
How do you
motion?
feel on 14 then? What's the decision?
I say we let it go, the way, if they let them decide what, because they're in charge of the billing. They wanna outsource it, a bill comes to the department to pay it,
I won't sign it.
I won't sign it.
I know it got signed last
Then
time.
it's up to the town to pay the company and come after us for the money.
I'll make a motion that we will not pay for outsourcing of any billing activity
Say,
as a board.
Okay, is it seconded?
Yep.
And seconded, I guess we've had a good discussion. We will not pay for outsourcing any billing because we feel that's covered under our indirect costs.
Exactly.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Okay. What I will do is let Rich know that we took this vote so that he'll have at least advance warning that we're not gonna
Sure,
be paying
that's
it,
fair.
so he'll know
That's
that
fair.
it's gonna come from there.
Unless somebody comes back with something in black and white and says.
now,
Justify it.
now,
You have to justify.
All that stuff should be transparent, by the way.
Now I wanna
His total
open up-
costs and how he allocated them to every department in this building. That should be transparent.
now I want to open up a can of worms, because you said the administrator has authority to sign our vouchers.
I didn't say that.
I said
said-
that. That was the case with,
Years ago, we used to have 3.
I
And if we couldn't
understand.
get 2 commissioners,
Emergency,
the,
they could be a backup.
a town administrator could sign a voucher.
You could be the third.
The
That
third.
was-
I remember that.
that was with,
Peter.
Okay. Vote, I don't care what Ocean's word, I want him not the only authority, or the selectman, or the town itself, not the only authority to take money out of our accounts. It needs to be somebody on this board also signing.
They
Yeah, it should be
haven't. They
two,
haven't.
at least 2
okay,
signatures.
It's only been our board signing the vouchers.
all right,
It hasn't been
Okay.
anyone else signing them.
okay. That way, I just remembered that. I think it was the third person. If they
In
needed
an
a third-
emergency.
they needed
Well, we
a
used to have, you
third
used to have
signature.
3.
Yes,
I thought we used to have 3.
Yeah, if you had 2 and you needed a third,
And we
you
broke
couldn't
it
get a
down
hold
to
of somebody.
2.
You could say,
Yeah.
okay.
okay,
Okay,
as long as they're not able to take money but without our say, that's all I want.
So
Well,
can,
everything they do, they send us a bill, a
yes,
slip.
yep.
So we have to be aware of that. In other words, we haven't received a voucher for indirect costs yet.
No, because we don't on that. They take it right out after the town meeting, though. We don't get a bill for that.
You said that, yeah.
Debbie
Take it right out.
transfers
See,
that
that-
right over after the
that
town meeting.
shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening without a voucher.
So
No
when one day,
purchase
that's like, they're reaching into your checking account, and taking out $85,000
Yeah.
each account,
Yeah.
without you knowing it.
That shouldn't be done without.
I don't think that's
without a
legal.
voucher.
It's like the Godfather when he
It's the
walks in.
same with all the
just takes his
insurances and
cut right
everything
off
else.
the top.
I
I don't
don't
care
know.
if you made money or not, give
We
me
should
my
be
money.
signing vouchers
The
for that stuff.
insurances we do.
Yeah, I
We
don't
sign
think
We
that's
signing
legal.
vouchers for
Vouchers for
anything
that.
coming out of our
Yeah.
accounts.
I don't think that's legal.
Not with an enterprise fund.
So what did we decide on the budget? Are we leaving it as it was submitted and then you're gonna dispute
fight
it
it
at
at
the
the-
finance
We'll have to
board?
fight it at the finance
and
board.
advisory
Okay.
board.
I'll find out when those meetings
Yeah.
are. I'm sure they're gonna be during the day.
Adjournment, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Who seconded?
Second, third, fourth.
I love the hearty discussion.
Scott, second.